Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris, the Candyman, and you already know what time it is. Tonight, we're drafting best ball teams. I've hopped right into a Best Ball Mania 7 draft, and I'm about to tell you the top 10 best picks across all 18 rounds. I'm drafting out of the 9 spot, and it's my first draft of the day, so I'm feeling pretty good, excited to get in here and check out these ADPs, see what's going on in these streets. But as always, if you're new here, if you're watching this later in the future, make sure you're subscribed. I've got a goal to hit 2,000 subs before the start of the NFL season. Let's see if we can get there. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just click subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when I'm going live. Come draft with me, get in the chat, say what up, and let's ship one of these tournaments. So I'm feeling pretty good drafting from this side of the board. I feel like you have a lot of good picks in the first round at the end of the draft because you never know what someone's going to do. Are they going to let Christian McCaffrey fall to at the 9 spot? We've seen over the last week a slight, increase in Jonathan Taylor's ADP, the flippening of Christian McCaffrey that's been going on. I don't mind any of the wide receivers like Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson at the end of the first round because coming back in the second round, you really get the opportunity to take your pick of the remaining second top tier of running backs, whether that's Achane, who led the league in explosive runs last season, number one in juke rate. You could take a guy like Chase Brown, who down the stretch last season when he's playing with Joe Burrow was just touchdown after touchdown. You can go for the, King Henry type of move, never lets you down in the month of December kind of guy. We're on the clock here, and I did not expect to be able to get Jonathan Taylor at the 9 spot. But for me, this is an easy click. I can make the case for Jonathan Taylor being the top running back in 2026. And it's really as easy as just having Daniel Jones healthy all year. Now, we know he's not healthy coming into the season necessarily, tearing his Achilles. Was it week 14 last year? It was towards the end of the year. When Jonathan Taylor played with Daniel Jones, he averaged more fantasy points than Christian McCaffrey did. He was the only player who was on that kind of a pace. If you remember, in all of our fantasy leagues last year, Jonathan Taylor was the guy until he wasn't, until the Phillip Rivers led Colts offense came out into the field and just messed it all up. He had a few tough defensive matchups down the stretch. So Jonathan Taylor splits with and without Daniel Jones is a big difference. But Jonathan Taylor is still that guy. He can still break off explosive runs. He can still put up the highest scoring running back total across the entire fantasy season. So it's a guy you might just have to have. I'm not afraid to click Jonathan Taylor in the first round, and I'm definitely not afraid to click him at the 9 spot. In the second round here, I have my choice of guys like Ken Walker, another explosive runner, and I think I'll go ahead and just do that because I honestly don't remember the last time I got to draft a Jonathan Taylor, Ken Walker start in a Best Ball Mania draft. This is a Best Ball Mania, and I've been pacing myself this year. I did a bunch of Best Ball Manias in May and June, and I'm slowing down in July. I really want to be hammering this tournament right before the close, so August and even in September. But the best time to draft is when you can get them in. So if you've got a free window to draft, especially in my case, I'm going to fit these drafts in. But something I looked back on last year was a lot of my drafts that I did in July were kind of subpar teams. And I think it's because we're in a bit of a lull before we get to the preseason and the big camp news and all of these things and practices. And so we don't really know who's the for sure backup on some teams, which rookies are looking good, who's going to pull a hamstring, all those kind of news items we get later on in the season, I think can add a lot of value to your teams. As in these large field tournaments, you're not only competing against your pod, but once you advance out of your pod of 12, in this case, it's a 2 out of 12 advanced structure for Best Ball Mania, you're going to be playing against teams that were drafted in every single month in your next regrouping of your pod. And so when you're playing in a tournament like this, it goes 2 of 12, then 1 of 14. That 2 of 12 stretch coming from weeks 1 through 14, week 15, 16, and 17, the fantasy football finals, as we know them in our home leagues. You advance to a brand new pod, you regroup. And so drafting a team in July when you're going to have to, even if you advance, you're going to have to play teams who are potentially drafted in September and had way more information than you. It puts you at a disadvantage. but maybe we can get an advantage here with some unique combinations, some ADP fallers and things like that. And so that's the goal here. We're playing for a $2 million top prize to win Best Ball Mania 7. You got to get there. You got to get to week 17. But when you make it to week 17, you better be prepared and have the best hand, that you can possibly have. You want as many live roster spots. So you don't want to be drafting players who are bench risks or maybe, not earning snaps at the end of the season. There's a lot of value taking some rookie players towards the end of the drafts. If we can get some nice values there, guys who might actually come on strong at the end of the season, kind of like Luther Burden did last year, was the guy you needed in week 17. So those are all the things I'm kind of thinking about in July right now as I'm slowly kind of just pacing myself in Best Ball Mania and maybe drafting some of these other side contests. I thought about maybe getting into a Dalmatian. I haven't drafted that tournament yet. I mentioned on the stream last time I did 12 mini Dalmatians, but the $101 Dalmatian, I haven't jumped into that yet. Something I was considering doing because it's more of a high stakes and smaller. It's only like 2,700 people who are in it, smaller final size, kind of an interesting tournament. Okay. In the third round, I could do Lad, I could do Neighbors. Travis Etienne Jr. and Kyren are both there. I feel like any of these starts could be good. Let me go with Travis Etienne Jr. because of his playoff schedule. I really like who the Saints are playing in the NFL playoffs, or the fantasy playoffs, I should say. We get the Saints here. They play Tampa Bay in week 15. Kind of tough. That's 13th overall defense going into the season. Right? These ranks are from last month or so, but they're after the NFL draft. Arizona, 31st ranked defense in Atlanta in the Dome. Playing in Atlanta, the 27th ranked defense. So I like that playoff stretch. I was between him and Kyren. If Kyren's there on my next pick, I would honestly still be really tempted to grab him and just start 4 running backs. But maybe, Kyren goes. Maybe I can get one of Lad, Neighbors, T-Mac, or Garrett Wilson would be my kind of top picks. And I think I probably want Garrett Wilson ahead of Tedroy McMillan. Both of them can be major target earners. We see Garrett Wilson earning 150, 60 targets a year when healthy. I think T-Mac can get there. He had 122 targets last season. At the end of the day, you're taking a top wideout on the Jets or the Panthers. Not the most appetizing team in terms of touchdown totals and projections. The Chargers might be a little bit more fun to go with. And Ladd McConkey's there, Josh Jacobs. And actually, look at this. Devontae Adams gets pulled up here. The drafter in the 11th spot, he goes with Mike Evans and Devontae Adams. So just getting your guys gives me access to one. Ladd McConkey gives me a nice week 17 bring back against Ken Walker for that game, that Kansas City game that, again, is going to be in Los Angeles. So in the Dome, can Ken Walker go off and can Ladd McConkey be the other piece of that puzzle that you need? Yeah, what's up, Copy Paste Lade? How we doing, brother? Good to see you. Who do I think is the best pick in Best Ball? Burden or Loveland? Yeah, between the two, if it comes down to those two, I kind of think Burden's the better pick. It sounds crazy, and I can make a really good case for Loveland as well. I think positionally, it's tough. I feel like taking a tight end this early in the drafts, and usually Loveland goes in like, the end of the 4th, the beginning of the 5th, and kind of in the same range Burden goes. Burden usually goes a bit higher. I just feel like there's more value in the wide receiver position, and we'll see. I think it's super close, but I need to kind of refine that take and figure out like why, if I was going to say Colston Loveland. But for me, I think just Burden is like kind of that guy we're looking for, taking a step forward, earning more targets, being more consistent now that DJ Moore is gone, especially. And how can he be used in year 2 in that Ben Johnson offense, right? So copy paste, what do you think? Are you more Burden or Loveland at this point? Because they're about the same price. So even price adjusted, they're about the same price. Goes half a round later. Yeah, they're going closer and closer. I get what you're saying about the price difference, though. Burden and Loveland, funny, we're talking about them. They go pick 46 and 47 in this one. I think they're both great picks in the 4th round. It's just, how do you want to build your team? And for me, I've been playing kind of, I still like Bowers, McBride, and Loveland, but the cost of their cost can be really, really high. I don't know. I go back and forth with it because if it's a managed league, I might opt for a top tight end and feel really good about it. In the best ball league, sometimes I feel like I can just cobble together a room. The difference is being that playoff hammer is that we talk about like the reason you draft elite tight end, the reason you're going to take Bowers or McBride or even Loveland, maybe even Tyler Warren, is if they could be that playoff hammer, that guy you have to have or really want to have. And I think those guys are more likely to do it. And so that's why you can justify their draft capital. Besides the fact they're big target earners. I mean, McBride and Bowers could go over 1,000 yards again. How many touchdowns? I'm not sure. I think Loveland is right behind them. So let me know what you think, copy paste, how you're leaning there. Yo, what's up, Hartman? Always good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing good. Hope you had a great 4th of July. This is a Best Ball Mania. It's the first draft of the night, and we've got more coming. So buckle up. Jump in the chat, say what up, come draft with me, come draft along in my draft, my next draft, or just draft and you can kind of chill while I make my picks too and talk through the board. Nothing that crazy that I've seen so far in the 5th round. Back on the clock here, I was thinking through my head what I'd want to do. Probably just take Carnell Tate. I don't feel like I have to risk it with guys who touches are a little bit more of a projection for. When I'm talking about Travion Henderson and Bashal Tootin, I like them a lot. I like Jadarian Price a lot too. I could consider one of them if they came back around in the next round, and they probably won't. We'll see. We've been pretty robust running back on this right side of the board so far, so it wouldn't surprise me if one of them came back, and it's probably going to be Price. I think when it comes to Bashal Tootin, I mean, he was okay last year. It's really a big projection that he gets all of that work in the Jacksonville Liam Cohen offense, right? So I can see the vision. I wasn't super impressed, honestly, last year as a Bashal Tootin dynasty owner. And I think he was okay, where we were getting him in best ball drafts last year. Price goes. Henderson, of course. Henderson usually doesn't make it to the 6th round, so that's a pretty good grab there by the drafter in the 12 spot. Nice running back room with Cook, Kyron, Jadarian Price, and Trayvon Henderson. If Tootin is there with my next pick, I'll definitely take him. Otherwise, and it's coming down to it, we'll see what this drafter does. He took Josh Allen. He really needs a wideout, but he stacks a Dunze with Caleb Williams. So I'll go ahead. I'll take Bashal Tootin in the 6th round in this Best Ball Mini. I think that's a decent price. We were seeing Bashal Tootin going later in drafts earlier when Best Ball Mania opened, and definitely during the big board. But this is the latest I've seen him go in quite a while. I feel like I could be done with my running backs. It's a hyper fragile build potentially, starting with these 4. I've got Ladd and Carnell Tate. I need to kind of build out some more floor in my wide receiver room week to week. I'm going to be flexing a running back almost certainly, I would say 70, 80% of the time in this kind of build. And I think this is a fun way to do it. Well, just kind of what naturally came to me when I had the fall. This fall on Jonathan Taylor got this started. Pairing him with Ken Walker, I just really like Travis Etienne Jr.'s fantasy playoffs, so I took him there. I went with Ladd McConkey in the 4th round, came to me at pick 40, and then I took Carnell Tate a little bit ahead of ADP, but I think he's a fair pick in the 5th round. Went with Bashal Tootin in the 6th. We'll see what we can get into. Whether I go, if Herbert can make it back around to pick 81. If Herbert comes back around, obviously for the McConkey stack, it'd be kind of expensive to get a QB before my 3rd wide receiver. I generally like to fill out that 3rd wide receiver spot before I get into that kind of trouble. Let's see. Corey says, are you higher on Egbuka or Devonta Smith? I kind of just take them both at ADP. Devonta Smith generally goes a bunch higher, but I think It's close. I don't like the Eagles' passing offense. We'll see if Sean Mannion can turn things around and get them passing the ball more. Probably I go Herbert here. The wide receivers I actually really don't like, so I'm going to push that. And let me just get this stack, and I'll take whatever wide receiver is there on the other side. I don't have enough Herbert in Best Ball Mania either, so getting him at ADP, getting him on a very robust RB team that has a good chance to advance, I would say. And then with the stack with Ladd McConkey, I've already got the natural bring back week 17 with Ken Walker. Addison goes. He would have been a nice spike week kind of guy that I would look forward to getting in, the 8th round. If he was there, he goes kind of early in this one. Make this next pick. Also, I'm looking at the draft board. I don't necessarily recognize any of the drafters I'm in this room with. But if you're in here with me, let me know. Give me a shout. Yeah, what's up? Disbanded. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Putt Daddy? How we doing, man? Hope you had a great 4th of July. Thanks for being here. Mike Clay has Bowers projecting for more PPR points than Pickens. True. McBride more than Nico. I view elite tight end basically as a wide receiver. Don't discriminate. Yeah, I would agree to some extent on that for sure. I know Mike Clay has Bowers ahead of McBride. No, he has McBride ahead of Bowers. He's McBride ahead of Bowers in his PPR projections. And sometimes they're going to be starting those elite tight ends in your flex position anyways. Okay, so Dart goes at pick 85. That's a pretty smart move. The drafter does here. The guy who has CeeDee Lamb and Neighbors takes Dart and Prescott. I actually really like that. I've been drafting a ton of Jackson Dart. I think he's one of the best picks in best ball and just in fantasy right now. Let's do Josh Downs. I'm thinking Josh Downs. I could take Tucker Kraft on a fall. I'm not that excited about Tucker Kraft, honestly. I don't know a lot of us are. I'd rather have Josh Downs and potentially get a player that can step forward and be, if it's not Tyler Warren, it's probably Josh Downs who earns the most targets in that offense. And I'm also pairing him up. I made this big bet on the Colts with Jonathan Taylor. So that's how I'm feeling about Josh Downs. I'm going to roll a clip real quick. I'll leave the board up. I got to go run a quick dad duty errand, but I'll be back after I do this quick dad responsibility. Let me roll one of these clips. Who do we want? Well, we didn't draft T-Mac, but let's roll the T-Mac clip, and then I'll be right back. I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, I was sprinting. The old house didn't have stairs. The new house has stairs. Had to run a blanket upstairs to Princess. Whew. What did I miss? So Kraft, I coming off the injury, fine. Packers offense, fine. Take him or leave him at this price. Honestly, what's the difference between him there and getting Kelsey or Kittle later? Fannin or Pitts later. I kind of treat him in the same tier. So for me, it's just a little bit more expensive opportunity cost to take a tight end in round 8 when you can get one later. That's kind of my thing with Kraft right now. He's just a little bit more expensive. Back on the clock. Like I said, Fannin's there. Pitts is there. I'm going to go Golden, almost certainly. Yeah. I don't think I need any of these QBs right here. I mean, they're not bad picks. I spent up so much on Herbert. I mean, this is still the QB pocket. I'm trying to think who I'd want, though. There's not really any big stacks I could get here. I could do Ward later if I can get him cheap. That'd be nice. Daniel Jones is probably a must on this team. I should be in a position to get Daniel Jones, and I might reach a little bit for him too. Daniel Jones and Jackson Dart are my two most drafted quarterbacks. I think they have the Konami code, the rushing upside. Even Daniel Jones coming off the Achilles injury, I think he's just going to be who he's always been and has that rushing upside potential. I'm sure he'll rush a little bit less, but I think it still adds a lot to his weekly floor and ceiling. Wow, Kittle, Pitts, and Fannin all go. I did not see that coming. I feel like Golden wouldn't have been there at pick 112, and I think he's got more upside than a lot of the other wide receivers that were going to be up next. So I can justify it. Murray and Goff also go. Wow, these guys are jamming in QBs. There's still one drafter in this room who has 0 QBs. He's drafting out of the 6th spot. Everyone else has at least one. Should I grab Jordan Love here? I could do it. I feel like at price, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, because the tight ends are gone, I could have pulled up Kelsey, but let me just go Jordan Love there and keep hitting quarterback in this quarterback pocket after I had double tapped wide receiver. Through the first 10 picks, started off Jonathan Taylor at the 109. Nice. Ken Walker, Travis Etienne Jr. in my 3rd round. And then I went McConkey in the 4th, Carnell Tate in the 5th. Tootin came back to me in the 6th round. I've got 4 different running backs through, 6 rounds, and one of them is a 5th round value. I feel like, especially since they have 4 different bye weeks, I could just stop with those 4 and feel really good. We'll see if another running back falls to me that I like. I considered going either Jonathan Brooks or Rachaad White or Aaron Jones with my last pick. But for whatever reason, I did want to grab Jordan Love there and stack him up with Matthew Golden and just feel like I don't have to worry too much about QB. I thought about pushing it further. Sometimes you get into these ranges where I'm going to want other skill position players in these 11th, 12th round. And I don't want to be forcing in the other QBs that I think go way too early. Like, I think Cam Ward usually goes pretty early. Daniel Jones, I think his price is good. Shuck, I think, goes way too early. For whatever reason, I think a lot of those guys are in a similar tier for me. After you get past like the Bo Nix range, to me, there's a big cliff in the weekly upside for these quarterbacks. Even Jordan Love, I think he's a little expensive, but we've seen what he could do a few seasons ago. We just haven't seen it recently. It's kind of my problem with Jordan Love and the way they're running that offense. Wow, Dylan Sampson at pick 123. That's a little strange. Maybe star method gone wrong from the 3 spot. I would not have taken Dylan Sampson at pick 123. So tight end is still a need for me. My wide receivers, after I took Tootin, I went with Herbert, Josh Downs, Matthew Golden, and then I just took Jordan Love. KC Concepcion would be nice. I like Diggs. I take way too much Diggs. Shakir, I don't mind. Dalton Kincaid would be fine here. I kind of like Goddard even more. Ferguson in a high volume passing offense, with Dallas, I think is a good team just to have some exposure to. Shaheed's interesting. Okay, I'm on the clock. ADP would say take Kincaid or Shakir. Let me get a little Kincaid exposure. I don't take him all that much. So it's a little different. I feel like it's a good time to take tight end. The guy who had Josh Allen right after me, he was probably lining up either Kincaid or Shakir. So he at least gets Shakir there. KC Concepcion went before my pick. I would have taken him if he was still available in the queue. I don't necessarily want to double tap tight end here. I like Dallas Goedert a bunch. I like Diggs. Jalen Coker's interesting. I like what he did against the Rams in the playoffs. Big spike week, important game, becoming important to his offense, relegating Xavier Legette. I think those are all good signs. So we're looking at the number 2 target in the Panthers offense. Is that worth something? I think it's fine. Diggs could be the number 1 target in a lot of teams' offenses, and maybe even the number 2 somewhere like the Commanders, Washington. He goes. Next up for me, this could be a pick where I need to force in Daniel Jones, but because I took Jordan Love, I'm going to feel more comfortable trying to push Daniel Jones past his ADP and see if I can get him at 153, or if I can get potentially Cam Ward there. We'll just test our luck. I think Coker could be a good play. You'll never see me draft Keaton Mitchell, even on a team with Herbert and Ladd McConkey, where it might make some sense. I'm not going to do it. Omar Cooper's not a bad pick. I'm going to go Coker here. I think Coker healthy could actually do some things. Could have a year 3 breakout. Let's go to the year 3 breakout data. Also, I don't really like the Panthers playoff schedule. They get... Oh, that's the wrong direction. The Panthers get Cincinnati, which is a good matchup. Actually, a great matchup. Pittsburgh's really tough. Seattle's pretty tough. So 1 good matchup and then 2 bad ones. But how much will that matter for the wide receiver 2? Let me go down to Coker here. Jalen Coker, in half PPR, he's been averaging like 6.8 fantasy points per game over the last 2 seasons. PPR points above here, but I recalculate below for half PPR. Only 0.2 touchdowns per game. Not that impressive, but it's the same as guys like Ricky Pearsall, who goes way higher than him. I would say Jalen Coker, to me, is similar to Pearsall. Pearsall's just on a much better team. Coker's actually had a more recent, like, larger spike week, and Pearsall did nothing in their playoff games. He missed some time. He's explosive. He now gets more competition from Mike Evans. Coker, on the other hand, had a huge playoff game against the Rams. We can go look at that. I think I had it over here. He had 134 receiving yards and a touchdown on 9 receptions, 2 red zone targets out of 12 total targets. That was Coker against the Rams in the playoffs. So you factored that in, what his ceiling can be, on top of a decent, first 2 year kind of decent in terms of his wide receiver class, similar enough on a per game basis to guys like Pearsall or Xavier Worthy. So I think Coker's a little expensive. We could have taken Shaheed, who maybe is more proven. Seahawks, maybe even a better team. I think Darnold definitely has more passing volume and passing yards than Bryce Young does in 2026. There's an interesting spot. I might just go Tyjae Spears. Both my QBs I wanted are gone. Spears is there. Otherwise, Trey Tucker, who seems like kind of just a plug-in, easy best ball pick. I'll go Trey Tucker. I like Kenyon Sadiq. I'll probably take Kenyon Sadiq if he's there. And then getting Trey Tucker, I just want to keep getting some guys that could be probably the second target earner, or just spike week guys. So similar to the thesis on Jalen Coker, getting Trey Tucker in there. People forget Trey Tucker had the second biggest spike week of all wide receivers last year after Puka Nacua. It's Trey Tucker, I think it was week 5, if I'm not mistaken. Hawkinson would be a pretty good pick here. Sadiq goes. I'm not going to take Bryce or Mendoza. I could be done at 2 QBs. This could be a 2 QB team. I'm not going to force anything. I'm just going to let the board come to me on this. Spears could work for this team. I don't have to have him. I have a lot of Spears. I have a lot of Hawkinson too. I feel like I need the tight end help more than the running back help at this point in the draft. I did make a pretty big bet on the Titans with Carnell Tate. that makes me want to lean back to Spears, actually. And with Spears, it's like him and Woody Marks, Charbonnet. Some of these last picks that I think are pretty viable and can earn like a big target share on their team. I think Spears can have like 10, 11% target share in his offense. I'll take that. I'm going to push tight end and just call it a day with those 5 running backs. I think Spears has a lot of contingent upside as well. We've seen games when Pollard missed time, Spears gets a bunch of touches, usually double digit and sometimes even high double digit. Coker was ramping up to have a big role right away last year before the injury too, right? Wasn't that I accidentally kicked off my other light. Let me turn my other light on real quick. That's crazy. How did that happen? Walked in the room, must have somehow hit the light. What was Coker's injury, Hartman? It was something really random. I can't remember. But that he says, what do you think of the Green Bay playoff schedule? Miami's a good matchup, but then Chicago and Houston at home in week 17. I like any team that plays Miami. And so there is something to that, Putt Daddy. Getting Miami in week 15 is really nice. That could be a smash game for Josh Jacobs or really just the Green Bay offense. Chicago's tough. It's a divisional game. It's going to be in Green Bay. It's going to be, winter is coming. It's going to be cooler temperatures. Seems pretty tough. Houston. Oh no, that's on the road. It's in Chicago at least. Houston's at home is that kind of weather game, December game, and a really tough defense. I don't love the playoff schedule for the Packers. In fact, I have it ranked as around even though they get Miami, which is the 32nd ranked defense, the overall rank kind of average of those ranked defenses comes out to about 16, which is kind of tough. It's not the worst. Houston's matchup is actually, I think, a little bit worse. Even though they get Green Bay, they have Philly the week before, and Jacksonville is their easiest matchup, and that's still a divisional game. At least it's at home. There are some even tougher ones. I think the toughest matchup actually goes to Philly. Philly has to play Seattle and Houston at home, but then goes on the road to play San Francisco. So there are some tough playoff schedules out there for some good teams. I don't love the Green Bay Packers playoff schedule. I haven't been prioritizing the Green Bay Packers as much as I did last year. Going for a deep ball and had a quad strain. Yeah, I knew it was something so random in practice 2 weeks before the season for that Coker injury. We're almost back on the clock. Pick 177. Both Bryce and Mendoza go. So I'm probably going to do a 2 QB build. Looking at wide receiver here for me, it would be someone like Jerry Jeudy or Jeremy Bernard. Let me throw Barner in there. No, let me throw Jeudy in there. Because all of these guys have so many tight ends. If one of them takes Barner, it's okay. I could take Helm. I kind of have him similarly ranked. I like taking an upside pick on Terrence Ferguson, but it's a little bit early. It's not too early. Pat Freiermuth, I think, still can earn targets on his offense. So I threw in Jeudy last second there because of the fact that I don't know if any of these guys are going to draft a tight end. Wow, Ray Davis 178 and Jaden Blue 179. Ayuk at 180 is crazy. Barnabas has not been reading the headlines, I guess, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we're all getting kind of faked out by Brandon Ayuk. GM Frog Clone, what's up, brother? How we doing? Love the Tajay pick, dude. He's one of my most drafted players right now. I can get into some of my exposures. We've been talking about like the top picks, talking about which players we like in each round. Did some Coker talking. Yeah. Maybe this is a Shador team. Do I take Shador in the last round? I was gonna read an Athletic article about Shedeur Sanders earlier today, and I didn't. I opened it and I never read it, but there's something in there. I think it was supposed to be a good article about Shedeur. Did any of you guys see that Athletic article? I don't know if it came out today or yesterday, but something about Shedeur Sanders and why there was signs of hope from last season or something, or he was improving or something, whatever. I mean, Shedeur, people forget, he put up like 32 fantasy points. Shedeur Shadone. He put up, was it week 16? His rushing explosive score is off the charts, a little bit underrated. Game log. No, it was week 14. I'm way off. But week 14, he had 34.5 fantasy points. He had a rushing touchdown and 3 passing touchdowns, 364 yards. That, to me, even though all of his other games sucked, that one game, I think, is pretty inspiring. It was against the Tennessee Titans. He had a 54% completion percentage, and he threw for 42 attempts. So there's a lot of red flags, even in his best game. But is Shedeur draftable? Is he the guy right now that's going in the last round that every year we look back and say, just take him every time in the last round? Take a starting quarterback every time in the end of the draft, right? Is that Shedeur? We've been taking guys like Aaron Rodgers who go pretty late, or Geno Smith. Do they have bench risk? Maybe, probably not really. If anything, the injury risk on those two guys is heightened. No spring chicken, Aaron Rodgers, even Geno Smith on his second stint with the Jets. You want Geno Smith on his second stint with the Jets? First off all, it's the Jets. Second of all, it's Geno Smith. Geno Smith has been all right. He was pretty good with the Seahawks a while ago, but the minute they let him go, they win the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. So how good was he really? What's up, Jay? Are you higher on, who am I higher on between Gunnar Helm and Terrence Ferguson? I would say Gunnar Helm, just because where he's going in this draft. Actually, Ferguson goes higher. Gunnar Helm, we saw a little bit more out of him. I could easily make the case for Ferguson, though, given he plays for the Rams and you just want access to the Rams and it's a better offense, right? Okay, Aaron Rodgers going this late makes me really tempted to take him. Actually, Geno too, even though I just shit talked both of them. But maybe this is the Shedeur team. Is there anything else I want? I could be done at tight end if I take Mike Gesicki here. 2.573. This is my luxury pick now. I also drafted way too much Mike Gesicki. Probably Aaron Rodgers or Geno Smith is a good pick, even unstacked, for some 3 QB resiliency. It depends if it's super flex or not for Shedeur. I mean, but then these guys, I don't have any Falcons, so I don't have like a preference of even scrolling down. Is this a team where I take 8 receivers? I usually don't take 8 wideouts. Like, it's been a while since I've done that. But is this a team that needs 8 wide receivers? And who's available that's any good, can earn targets? No Chargers or Packers come to mind. Bateman's there. Bateman and Cooper Kupp would be my picks here. Maybe even Mooney. I don't think this is a 4 tight end build. I'm probably going to go Bateman here and just stop with 2 QB. A little bit riskier, but give me one more wide receiver that I think can actually have a spike week. Potentially be the number 2 wide receiver or number 2 target on his offense. Rashad Bateman, going a little bit overlooked right now. A 2.583. This is a build I've done seldom this year so far, so maybe that's why I wanted to lean into it a little bit. I mean, I've had teams where I've taken Geno or Aaron Rodgers in like the 16th round or 15th round, but it's usually where I have Garrett Wilson, or maybe I've got Pittman or Jalen Warren, and I'm getting Freiermuth to come back around. Taking naked Geno and Aaron Rodgers, I almost felt like I just could have just risk it a little bit more with a 2 QB build, knowing I want to have some 2 QB builds in my best ball mania portfolio of teams. This felt like maybe one to do it on. And if anything, I could have taken Shador at the last pick, but at the same time, just also don't do it. Bateman there is one of my favorite last round picks right now. Recap this team, and then we're jumping right back into their best ball mania. Also, if you're new to the channel, if you're watching this later, make sure you're subscribed. Goal to hit 2,000 subs. Appreciate y'all for being here on a Tuesday night. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good 4th of July. Let's see where we're at. How many likes are on the stream? 13 likes, 20 watching. Help your boy out. Let's pump up those likes a little bit. I'm about to jump right into another Best Ball Mania draft. You can jump in with me. First, let's recap this team. So again, 2, 5, 8, 3. I had 4 running backs through 6 rounds, and my 4th one was Tootin, who usually goes in the 5th round anyways. I have Justin Herbert and Jordan Love as my QBs. I stacked Herbert with Ladd McConkey, and I also have a bring back in week 17 with Ken Walker. Other playoff weeks, I didn't get any Miami or San Francisco pieces. And then on my Green Bay side, maybe I should have preferenced some Miami pieces there, because I had both the week 16 and the week 15 correlation against my main stacks. So looking back, if I could have grabbed Dulcich there, maybe a way to play it, or just actually Caleb Douglas might have been a fun pick over Bateman if I really would have thought it through and gone for one of the Dolphins' late rookie wide receivers. I could have gone Caleb Douglas or Chris Bell even. That might have been fun. One of these guys could end up being 3rd in targets for the Dolphins next year. Obviously, Achane first, maybe Dulcich second. And then one of these guys could be 3rd. I go Bateman, though. I think it's fine. What's up, C-Money? Doing good, brother. Hope you're doing well. So the Jordan Love gets stacked up with Matthew Golden. No bringbacks there. Jonathan Taylor at pick 9. Nice. Ken Walker, Travis Etienne Jr., Bashal Tootin, Tajay Spears. This running back room, I'd give the QB room, it's 2 QB, and kind of like that's the way I wanted to do it. I'd give this like a solid B+. You get Herbert stacked up. You get Love stacked up. It feels fine. Feels good. 2 quarterbacks from the same quarterback class as well. Who've been in the league for quite a while, looking for that big breakout year, I think. Running back room, I give this an A. Jonathan Taylor and Ken Walker, and then just getting the fall on Tootin really did it in for me. So that's a definite A. Wide receivers, I go 8, which I don't normally do. Ladd McConkey, Carnell Tate. So I've got a rookie for some upside. Josh Downs, see if he can continue to earn 5, 6 plus targets a game easily and convert that. I want to see Josh Downs getting like 5 receptions a game. So maybe he needs like 7 or 8 targets, but maybe he can do it with Pittman gone now. Golden, year 2. Coker, year 3. Trey Tucker, spike weeks. Jerry Jeudy, spike weeks. Bateman for some spike weeks. Just throwing some guys in there who should be on the field a good amount. A lot of guys. I mean, Jerry Jeudy was like 94th percentile in snaps played last season, so at least he's playing a bunch. I know we've got competition from Concepcion and Denzel Boston, but Jerry Jeudy, not really a pushover either. Steve Smith thinks he sucks, just a guy, but he's had some big spike weeks in the past. Can he get it done? Tight end goes Kincaid, Barner, Gesicki, kind of a hodgepodge. I'd give the wide receiver room a B-. There's some upside, but it's not the strongest room, but it's not terrible. Tight end, I'd give also like a B-. These are some tight ends that I think I'm cool with, and some fun teams to have access to: Seahawks, Buffalo Bills, Bengals. So there's that going for it. Doing well. Good to hear, C-Money. 1,200 yards 2 years ago for Jerry Jeudy. People forget. And even like 2023, Jerry Jeudy went off. He had a huge, was it week 17? I'm going to pull it up on the game logs. 2023, was it week 17 or was it week 15 or 16? It was during the fantasy playoffs. Jerry Jeudy went crazy back in 2023. Not the best looking 2025. It's 2023. What week am I thinking of? Maybe it was earlier in the season, or maybe it was 2024. Because I'm not seeing a whole lot in 2023, actually. actually kind of disappointing. Maybe he was just on my roster in 2023 that finished 7th in the Poodle. I don't mean to brag, but I did finish 7th in the Poodle in 2023. Maybe he was just on that roster, and so I kind of remembered him fondly. Why am I thinking of him? No, I guess it was 2024. He puts up 22 PPR points in week 15 and then 21 PPR points in week 17. So definitely a guy that would have been nice. And then week 14, he was pretty consistent. Oh, no, there it is. Week 13 is what I was thinking of. So it was just before the fantasy playoffs. He goes against Pat Surtain. He goes for 9 receptions, a touchdown, 235 yards. I guess that was the performance I was thinking of just before the fantasy playoffs. I knew it was huge. Pickens was the guy actually in 2023, and it was week 16 or was it week 17 when he was on the Steelers. Super explosive. Don't forget about George Pickens. He's better in best ball. Don't let the redraft bros tell you that Pickens is a bad pick. Pickens is a good pick, and we're going to start drafting like it. What are we looking at? 2023, not 24. Yeah, 23. George Pickens, week 16, 35 and a half full PPR. He had 195 yards on 2 touchdowns. Pickens was a guy that could get you there in 2023. I had a team that got to the finals. Somehow my pod, I guess, didn't have a Pickens team in it, or the Pickens team didn't do that good in that Poodle I talked about. So don't forget about George Pickens, better in best ball, but actually still really good overall. I think, what was it? Games with 100 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 games with 100 yards or a touchdown last season, and a touchdown. And he by far had the most in the league, more than Puka, more than JSN, more than Jamar Chase. We're in games where you have both 100 yards and a touchdown. So let's count them. Here's in week 4, he had 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 168 yards and a touchdown in week 6. So we're at 2. 144 yards and a touchdown in week 11. 146 yards and a touchdown in week 12. And 130 yards and a touchdown in week 16. All of those, by the way, are 130 yards or more, not even just 100 yards. So don't let anyone tell you George Pickens is a bad pick in fantasy football. I don't care if it's redraft, dynasty, best ball. George Pickens is dude, he's got that dog in him. He's explosive. He's a savage, man. He's in the prime of his career. He's got everything you want: size, speed. Does he separate as much as CeeDee Lamb? No. But I mean, honestly, he's putting up insane numbers. CeeDee Lamb was healthy, the splits, this and that. I don't want to hear it. Like, it doesn't matter. The Dallas offense is going to pass a ton. They're projected to pass like the 3rd most in the league, I think. So you're going to want George Pickens in best ball. He could easily be a guy you have to have, like not even close. And last season, he was a complete stud. I mean, went off. I don't know if we get the same season-long total with the 1,400 yards and the 9 touchdowns, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get something nice from George Pickens. Yeah, he's expensive, goes in round 2, sometimes round 3, but the spike weeks are certainly there. Yeah, pretty solid. Shout out to Madison Parkhill. I read his Substack, and he reminded me in his recent newsletter why George Pickens is so good and potentially could actually outshine CeeDee Lamb this year. He made a little case for it. It's not the most likely thing to happen, or it doesn't even have to be, but week to week, he definitely can be the receiver you need, and he can even be the Dallas receiver you need week to week. Maybe CeeDee Lamb's moving kind of, he's a big target earner, but maybe he's just more of that PPR scam going forward, and Pickens is the big, huge, monster game guy you need. The offense, you're going to want access to the Cowboys, obviously. And when you compare some of his spike weeks to these other guys, I mean, this is something that we've known forever. We look at the garage tiers. Let's go back over to our 2025 garage tiers rankings. This is sorted by touches per game at the wide receivers. But look where George Pickens is across the entire season last year. 31% of his games, so that's 5 of his 16 games, he put up 20 or more fantasy points. Right in line with JSN, the exact same amount of games. Drake London only played 11 games, so his looks a little bit better, but skewed small sample. Same thing with Rashee Rice, skewed up with the small sample. Puka and Jamar Chase also only had 5 games with 20 or more fantasy points. They only played 15 games though. Puka had, the biggest spike week. Pickens' biggest spike week, still, 29.4 and half PPR. Didn't quite get to the range we saw from like a Monra or Puka, but pretty damn impressive. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's biggest spike week was 20.7. CeeDee Lamb missed a few games. He still played 13 games. I think there's a case you got to follow the touchdowns sometimes and hope they come back around, because at the end of the day, a lot of these elite wide receivers, what separates them is the touchdowns. A lot of them can earn a ton of yards and get a ton of receptions, but really the touchdown scoring can skew it. So I'm looking for offenses that score a lot of touchdowns as well, which is why I always come back to like the Rams, the Bengals, the Lions, the Cowboys. I think of the Ravens being kind of in that way. Look where Zay Flowers is. He's very comparable to George Pickens in total touches. Both had 92 in 16 games. Both were averaging 5.8 touches a game. Pickens obviously wins in the yardage by about 300 yards. So there's a difference. But Pickens also had more than double the touchdowns that Zay Flowers did. And that's a huge difference. That's going to impact their fantasy points per touch. It's going to impact their ceiling games, their average, their average score games. We see the lack of true ceiling from Zay Flowers last season. Maybe that turns around. If Zay Flowers can get 9 or 10 touchdowns, it can look a little bit different. So that's kind of the bull case for Zay Flowers. I see a lot of people making. I think we're kind of paying for that right now. Similarly, we talked about another player that was Devonta Smith. I don't think you can really use 2025 as a good picture of what Devonta Smith can be in 2026. There's just way more opportunity for him with AJ Brown gone. But Devonta Smith was not that useful or good in 2025. He was kind of like a weaker version of Zay Flowers. Had one good spike week. That was it. Still averaged less than 10 fantasy points per game, only the 4 touchdowns. So Devonta Smith was extremely disappointing in 2025. I think the different situation, new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion, maybe we see something new out of that offense. Jalen Hurts being used in different ways. Devonta Smith being the top target. Some of those touchdowns that Goddard had maybe shift over to Devonta Smith. Same thing with AJ Brown being gone. I mean, he only had 7 touchdowns, but it was a pretty low volume passing offense that the Eagles were part of last year. And the team was just bad vibes all around. So a long way of saying draft George Pickens. He's a good pick. Okay. Yo, what's up, Chris? CB Jets fan. How we doing, brother? I'm underweight Lamb and Pickens. Is it over? Hartman, you know what's so funny? Me and you were like overcorrecting because I'm also underweight Pickens. I don't know for certain if I'm underweight Lamb, but I'm a little underweight Pickens. I gotta remember how much I like Pickens and start drafting him more. That article I read and the kind of tirade I just went on should influence me and help me remember to draft him more. But Hartman and I last year, literally the most drafted player we had was like George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, like 2 of our most drafted wide receivers. They were still expensive. And this year we're doing something wrong. Hartman, I don't know if there's time left. It is July 7th. I mean, the season practically starts tomorrow. But at the same time, there is still time. Always good to see you, Chris B. CB, New York Jets fan. Appreciate the kind words. How are you feeling about the Jets? What's the newest news with the Jets, brother? Let me know what's going on. All right, I'm jumping into a best ball mania. I'm going to let's do like a 10-second countdown. If you want to get in, I'm cool with it. I'm joining from my phone, but I'm just putting this on the screen so you could see it. And I'm joining in, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hitting enter. If you want to come draft. Frog Clones 8% Pickens. We got to get that up. We all got to be at least 10, 12% as a community. I think it's the only way to go. 5, 3 more to start. BBM now. I'm going to go retweet the fact that I'm drafting a BBM. Follow me on Twitter at FFB Garage. Thanks for being here. Support the channel. Smash the like button. Make sure you're sub. Turn on notifications so you know when I'm going live. All of that good stuff. Hell yeah. All right, we're filled. No, we're one more to start. Wow. Still one more to start. I'm going to close the poll and start a new one while we're waiting. 16 likes on the stream. Got to get those numbers up. Rookie numbers. Make sure you smash the like button. I'm closing the poll, so go ahead and vote in it. Give you like 2 seconds to vote. And while I'm giving you 2 more seconds to vote, let's enjoy. I don't even know what clip we want to roll. Oh, Drake London. We haven't run this clip in a while. Let me do a Drake London clip.
Came so close, but not there.
8 seconds. Try it again.
Style points. Okay, the draft is starting soon. Where's the draft? All right. We've got Sacrilegious in the 1. What's up, brother? How we doing tonight? I'm in the 9. Again, we'll see if we get Jonathan Taylor at the 9 spot. 2 drafts in a row. What are the odds? I mean, I'm going to call it 1%. Frog Clone in the 10. Love to see it. Thanks for being here, brother. But get ready to get sniped because I'm gonna put you in a corner back here. If you're in the 10 spot, I'm gonna be watching, keep my eyes on Frog Clone. He's a sharp drafter. Also, we'll see what Sack's doing here on the other side of the board. Should be fun. Yeah, 1.10. Boo. Okay, I'm ending the poll. You guys said Colston Loveland is a better pick. All right, let's do another one. Another better pick. Let me show you the board. Better pick. I'm going George Pickens, who you all better vote for after that, glowing review that I just gave him. We're going to say George Pickens or Devonta Smith. And you guys know the answer is not Devonta Smith. So this is a true test to see who's here right now and who comes in halfway through this draft and votes for Devonta Smith. This is a true test. If you're a real one, you're voting for George Pickens. That's the right answer. If you're confused, you might be taking Devonta Smith. But also, tell me why. Everyone is, entitled to their own opinion. Let's go McCaffrey here at the 1-9. That makes sense to me. McCaffrey can still smash. The 110. Loveland is the correct vote. I'm on both sides. I don't really know. Misclicked Devonta Smith last month. No. Okay, well, that's 1. We'll keep that in mind. We're going to handicap it. It's at least -1 for Devonta Smith. I'm on the fence with whether I think Colston Loveland or Luther Burden's the best pick. I honestly think I lean more towards Luther Burden, though. Got to do more research on it. I haven't done extensive research on the Bears yet, and I haven't had anyone really take me all the way there with their data or their analysis or their take on the Bears. Everyone just seems to be pretty in on the Bears. So, no one's even talking about them. There's something to still debate. McCaffrey, Achane. Boom. Easy click. The highest volume running back in the game. The most explosive running back in the game. I wish I had an Achane clip to roll right now. Some highlights, but just visualize. It's easy. Just remember how good Achane is. Rookie year Achane, the explosive big runs. And then last year, number 1 running back in explosive plays, number 1 in juke rate, big breakaway runs. Yeah, Pickens maybe should be going a couple picks later, but we can't really set the market, right? We have to kind of play to the market, especially with these early round picks. It's like I used to be saying, well, Jefferson should be going the second round, and he was for a little bit, but I was pretty adamant about that. And then just because he moves up to the first round, I can't like stop drafting him. I don't want to be no Jefferson. I think Pickens can burn you. He can be a guy you have to have easily. Easily could be a guy you have to have. Sack goes Pickens at the 2-3 turn, ball knower. Pickens, Rice. Kriot says consensus seems to be Loveland on underdog for red zone targets. Burden's work predominantly comes between the 20s, so we'll need explosive plays to touchdown. Better suited for DK. Okay, I like that. I like that analysis. That's helpful. Good context. Let's go. I want to dig into this because I haven't done extensive tight end research. I thought I'd have more time to do it. Yeah, very explosive receiver. Let's go. I want to see what you're talking about though on his. It's going to be red zone targets. He had 13. He was 11th. That's pretty good. 10 receptions, pretty good for not being a full-time player. Let's go to his game log and his snaps. Really wasn't seeing above 75% snaps until week 8, and even then had a bunch of games where he wasn't getting more than 60% of snaps. So on that kind of limited usage, which we could argue it goes up in year 2, I think that's a fair thing to consider. I like where that's trending. Olave has sick playoff schedule. I like that. Kyron's just on the Rams, so easy click. All right, Olave or Kyron? This is a tough one for me. The Rams are really good. Olave was good last season. He is good. He did have those 9 touchdowns, but the dude just earns targets. Really good playoff schedule. Get him past ADP. Going back to the playoff schedule, they get Tampa Bay, Arizona, the second worst defense, 31 overall, and then Atlanta, the 27th ranked defense, so like the 5th worst defense. And a bunch of those 2 dome games, at home in a dome and Atlanta in a dome. Tampa Bay is away, but it's a fair weather game. Frog goes McConkey to go with his Ken Walker and Genty. I like that start. Kind of reminds me of the team we drafted last draft where I went JT, Ken Walker, and then I got McConkey. But I got McConkey in the 4th round with Etchen Jr. It was just different, but very similar. I mean, at least in some ways. I think the last draft was pretty rare for a start for me. I hope I landed that plane. Javonte goes pick 38. Don't mind that at all. Big bet on the Cowboys there. Kyron did go. This could be Garrett Wilson or T-Mac or Josh Jacobs or Scattaboo. I'm going to go Garrett Wilson. It's the Jets, which is a bummer. But Garrett Wilson is a dog, target earner. Maybe Gino can support him. With T-Mac, I like everything about T-Mac except for the fact that he's on the Panthers. The Jets playoff schedule, just getting super fixated on playoff schedules. And obviously things can change, but New York Jets, they get Arizona as a very nice matchup at home. They get New England, which is kind of tough. We can look and see historically, even last year, Garrett Wilson missed times. It's hard to see. Minnesota week 17 at home is not terrible. It's fine. It's a pretty good matchup. On the other hand, I don't really like the Carolina Panthers matchups. They get the Bengals, which is nice, but then they go Pittsburgh, one of the best defenses, and Seattle, one of the best defenses. So overall, the average defensive rank for Carolina is 10 compared to 20 for the New York Jets. So it's hard. I want to get to a spot where I'm taking more T-Mac, but if Garrett Wilson's still there, it's hard for me to do it. I want to get to a spot where I'm taking more Egbuka also, but for similar reasons, I'm leaning Garrett Wilson pretty heavily. Loveland would be the first tight end for me. Bowers, McBride are too expensive for me to take. That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Love K9. I'm optimistic for what Kenneth Walker can be in 2026. Playoff Ken Walker was good. Ken Walker in the regular season, pretty bad. Still had some big plays, but pretty bad for fantasy, especially in managed leagues. He was terrible. You never knew when to start him. I actively traded him away in my home league last year. I traded him for I traded Ken Walker and T. Higgins for Rashee Rice and Justin Fields, which sounds funny looking back on it, but Justin Fields was starting and I really needed QB help. So Tootin goes pick 54. I got him pick 64 in the last draft. So just crazy how different things can be. I'm almost back on the clock here. McCaffrey, Achane, Olave, Garrett Wilson. Bucky Irving is the easy click, and I'm not even going to think twice. I think he can just touch the ball a ton. The offense can be good enough. Injured last year, so we give him a little pass. If Bucky Irving wasn't there, I might have considered Watson, Moore, Thomas, these receivers that all went off the board next. Coming back around, I might have to take Jadarian Price could be good. I don't know if I need any of these. I don't know if I need to pulp any of these QBs. I like Marvin Harrison a bunch. I think he can be really good. Year 3 breakout. I take a ton of Marvin Harrison. You probably see me do it. Jadarian Price is kind of interesting. Do a quick consult on where Price is at. I'm going to go Harrison, but with Price, yeah, like 194. He's a little bit higher projected than Marvin Harrison. They're actually about the same, but at the same time, it's full PPR projections. Marvin Harrison would be slightly lower in half. It's not always like the season-long projection that I care about here. I want the year 3 breakout. I want the spike weeks I think I can get from Marvin Harrison. So I'm making a pretty big stand on Marvin Harrison this year. I take him pretty aggressively in the 6th round. Could have gone Jadarian Price there, especially if I would have gone with the wide receiver in the 5th round. I might have leaned Jadarian Price in the 6th over, even if Marvin Harrison was available. But I want to get that 3rd wide receiver. And I'm just going to build the most elite, Ohio State alumnus receiving group here. If only I had JSN instead of McCaffrey at the 9, then this would really be the Ohio State. And then like Egbuka was even there. I mean, you can't go wrong. Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marv. Too many good options, right? It's kind of crazy. Carnell Tate instead of Bucky. I mean, you literally can take an Ohio State wide receiver in each of the 6 rounds. You might just have to reach to do it. And I guess you would do like JSN, Olave, Egbuka, Garrett Wilson. You have to take someone early. And then Tate and then Harrison. You could do it. You could literally take an Ohio State receiver in every single round for the first 6 rounds. Definitely not going to win you a tournament. It would be funny to pull off. It's kind of a meme draft. Like getting a goal from the chat, you must draft only Ohio State wide receivers. Yo, what's up, Fantasy Dog? How we doing, brother? Appreciate the like. As always, thanks for being here. Make sure you vote in the YouTube poll as well. Let me know who's the better pick. Is it in 2026 for best ball or in fantasy in general? Is it George Pickens or Devonta Smith? Dak and Herbert probably pass. I could do Cortland Sutton or Alec Pierce. Probably pass on Rico. I'm leaning Sutton. I'm worried that he's going to lose targets and receptions to Waddle. But I'm just leaning Sutton there. He's been super consistent. He can still get touchdowns is the thing, even if he doesn't get the yardage that we expect from him. And then coming back around, Addison or Downs would be pretty fun. I also think Corum's a fun pick. I like Dobbins. Purdy makes too much sense on a team where you've got Christian McCaffrey. At the same time, would I just take Dak or Herbert straight up? Probably not. We'll see if the drafter in the 12 spot or the 11 spot, he has Josh Allen, but he should take Dak here in the 8th. Herbert's probably available at my pick. I'm going to push and see if I can get, maybe Bo Nix. Wow, he goes down. Pearson Downs. He has Javonte Williams and CeeDee Lamb and somehow doesn't take Amari and Hampton and somehow doesn't take Herbert or Dak there. That's kind of interesting. Okay, well, I have 4 receivers. I don't have to take Addison here. I'm not going to take naked Dak or Herbert. I could. Not going to do it. I'm kind of going to go Corum. Either Corum or Dobbins. I thought about going Addison. Let me get some Corum on this team. I'm cool with taking Dobbins there too. Kind of a toss-up. I was just thinking Rams. Thinking that I want some Rams. I think the problem with Corum, and I've said this before, the only game he was good in last year was also a game Kyron was good in. And it was against Arizona. I think it was like week 14 or it was later in the season. Kyron was so good, they benched him in the essentially halftime. Corum comes in and also does good. So Corum, I don't know how much standalone value he has. He does score a few touchdowns. He's on the Rams. I think there's enough work to go around. Their defense can be so good in 2026. They're just running the ball a ton, running the clock out, kind of like that in that Cardinals game I was referencing. So 8th round, pretty expensive for a backup, but not the worst pick on like a really solid team. I feel good. I'm at 4-4 build. Purdy going the pick after me kind of upsets me though, because I was hoping, I don't think he'd come back around, but the fact that Prescott and Herbert were still there gave me some hope he might come back. My favorite pick, I think the top pick right now in fantasy among the QB position and at value, but just in general, I think it's Jackson Dart. I think the dude can put up huge numbers with his rushing upside and have a really solid floor week to week because of his rushing. So I'm drafting a ton of Jackson Dart. Also, he's really easy to draft without having to stack. I'll take him with neighbors. Maybe take a late Mooney. I don't draft any Isaiah Likely. Not interested. If I got Isaiah Likely 20 picks past ADP with a Dart stack, I would click then probably just to do it. Coming back around, can I get lucky? This drafter has 2 QBs. He took the Purdy that I wanted. He grabs Kittle early. I am going to go Jackson Dart there. I think he's the best, one of the best picks in fantasy right now. In best ball, it feels good. I see people take Jackson Dart at pick 86 in drafts, a whole round early. So there is some kind of a wide range of picks where Dart will go. We've seen the upside. It could be really good. Pickens. Yeah, Pickens or Devonta Smith. Copy paste Lade says, what are your thoughts on draft assistant Sims tools? Do you use them? So I'm using what you see right now. I'm not using any tools at the moment. I've used the Sidekick with Sacrilegious on stream. We did it actually last year. And then when we drafted again with Sack this year, we didn't have it up. We probably should have. Okay, I'm back on the clock again. I will go Bo Nix here. Even over Stafford. Well, let me think about this. I'm going to pull up the projections for a minute. The Mike Clay projections. Yeah, it's so close. Tie break goes to the fact that I have Courtland Sutton. It's honestly so close. I could go Aaron Jones, but I took Corum, so I feel good at my RB4. I was interested to go with Pitts, Kyle Pitts. He went right after I took Dart. So I'm going to go Bo Nix there. Got 2 stacked QBs. Well, actually, Dart's not stacked, but I have Bo Nix stacked up with Sutton. Yeah, I'm cool with all the sims, all the tools, whatever. I think it's fun as the ecosystem makes the game bigger, more accessible. I think people have had some pretty good success with the sidekick. So, and I'm a fan of what they're doing over there at Leg Up. I'm a Leg Up sub, but I'm not a sidekick sub. Just not in my current price range. I think it could be. I might do a monthly sidekick going hard in August. I'm kind of making the excuse where it's like I want to have a big winning best ball season, and then that would justify maybe splurging for a longer sidekick subscription. Could be a way to look at it. The solver's pretty accessible. The ETR tools are pretty good as well. I think it's all just fun. I think it's interesting. We're such a small niche part of fantasy football, drafting best ball teams in July. So I don't really have a problem with any of the tools or sims or people building out their own data models and all of that. I think it's pretty fun. Let's see what Sack does. Sack goes Gibbs, Pickens, Rice, Waddle, Devontae Adams. Takes Hurts. I take Hurts anytime he's there in the 7th round. He also stacks him with Lemon. Then goes Myers at pick 96. Waits all the way until Dobbins also gets lucky, lands Aaron Jones and Matthew Stafford 20 picks past ADP, essentially, to go with his Devontae Adams, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice run out there. 2-3-6-0 for Sack's team. I like that a lot. Frog through his first 10 rounds. He goes Ken Walker, McConkey, McLaurin, Watson, stacks McLaurin with Jaden Daniels. Nice. Grabs Dowdle for his RB 3, and then gets Godwin, Pitts, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Pretty solid team. I've got a 2-4-4-0. I have McCaffrey, Achane, Olave Wilson, Bucky, Marvin Harrison, Cortland Sutton, Blake Corum. So I had, through my first 8 picks, 4 running backs, 4 receivers, and I double tap QB. I go Dart and Bo Nix for the stack with Cortland Sutton. Feels nice. Yeah, the Dart fall is so funny. I feel like he's the easiest player to take. I could do Shuck here at 129. I'm not going to force it, though, even though I have Olave. 3 QBs in a row seems kind of weird. Ferguson, Shaheed, Dallas Goedert. Maybe I should just do it. I did it. I just threw him in there. Shuck, why not? Shuck it. It's the same bye week as Dart. Beginning with Olave makes a lot of sense. Let me just be done at QB. Take those 3 guys. Year 2, year 3, year 2. Yeah, take Shuck. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Hartman. I knew it. I knew it deep down. I did the right thing. Spreadsheet Bro is siding with the machines. Who could have seen this coming? Who? Spreadsheet Bro? Me? What are you talking about? Oops. What? Siding with the machines? I am the machine. I am the Sims. Woody Marks pick 133. Something you don't see every day. I guess it's fine. I mean, Woody Marks 9 to 10% target share. Is that too crazy? I think it might be high. What is Marks? Yeah, it's too high. Mike Clay has Marks at 6% target share, which is not great. Shaheed and Goddard were still there. I like Goddard. I need a tight end. I don't mind Shaheed. I might be able to get some other wide receivers too later that I like. I'm pretty out on Tyrone Tracy. Someone I drafted a bunch before I knew the status of Cam Scatterboo, and I think I'm just kind of out on Tracy. If Scatterboo's healthy at his current price, I think he is fine. He's been really good his first 2 years in the league. I don't think he's as good as Scatterboo, and I think they overlap in a lot of ways. And Devin Singletary is still there. So Like, I don't even know if Tracy is a full-fledged RB2. He's kind of like maybe RB2A to Devin Singletary's RB2B, which sounds weird, but like I think Tracy realistically his upside is maybe where he's getting drafted. His real upside is just more injury to Scadaboo, but I'm not really projecting that. I think Tracy should go after guys like Spears, Brian Robinson, probably after Dylan Sampson, probably after Kamara, definitely after Pacheco, who I don't even like really. Definitely after Algier, who I don't even like really. Okay, what does my team need? I'm kind of overdue at wide receiver. There are a lot of wide receivers left that I like, though, so we're in a good spot. Dang, Juwan Johnson goes. Juwan Johnson goes pretty often. I feel like I never get him with Shuck stacks anymore. Did you see Tracy only got 24% of goal line work when Scotty was out? Yeah, that's pretty damning. That's a great data point. I didn't know that off the top of my head. I'm glad you said that. Kind of reaffirms what I was thinking. Omar Cooper, come on down. A pick that I really like to make. I think Omar Cooper could be. I mean, he's got to be better than AD Mitchell. He's just got to be better. Everyone's better than AD Mitchell. Oh shit! Now I have a Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper double stack. I already have 3 QBs, so it's not a Geno team. But if Geno's there in the last round, maybe throw him in for a 4 QB build. This could be really rare. Rare build incoming. Also could be hyper fragile. Could be done with these 4 RBs. Interesting things coming along here. My stacks would be any Giants, Broncos, or Saints, bringbacks, New England, Cowboys, or Falcons. I don't really see a lot of those here coming up. I like Sadiq over Hunter Henry. I think there's more upside. With A.J. Brown there dominating touchdowns, probably the red zone targets. I don't think Hunter Henry's anything special. There's no running backs available that I like, honestly, at all. Maybe Shuck I go Alvin Kamara when it comes back around. So let me keep that in my back pocket. I go Sadiq here. Just a big Jets fan, just drafting every player except for the Jets QB. I guess so. I said it last stream. I won't say it too much more. I think AD Mitchell's the worst pick on the board, except for Keaton Mitchell. It's funny they both have the same last name. The Mitchells, K Mitchell and A Mitchell, the 2 worst picks on the board. I think Flournoy is actually a pretty bad pick on the board too. I was in Gumby's chat last night. Gumby was going live on Monday nights. We were talking about Flournoy. He's okay in DAC stacks, but he's super expensive for a player that can never even be the wide receiver 2 on his own team. Almost certainly the 4th target in the best case scenario. So we saw something nice out of Flournoy in year 2. It really came from the Lamb injury being gone, the opportunity, but he was still super inconsistent week to week. It wasn't that good overall. No real, I mean, 1 spike week, nothing else really big besides that. And I mean, just not that great. So looking for a year 3 breakout from Flournoy, I think get out of here. Still a better pick than AD Mitchell. Are you out on Algier as a player or because he's behind Love? I would say both. I did not draft any Algier before Love was drafted. So when Algier was going pick 80, pick 90, no. Even when Algier was his rookie season, it wasn't that good. He was like RB25, if I remember correctly, on the year. He doesn't catch a lot of passes. He's dependent on touchdowns. He got his most touchdowns in his entire career last year. Now we're drafting him at his like highest price. He was going behind Bijan. He was kind of an afterthought. Now he's going behind Love. I think he's still an afterthought and he's on a worse team potentially. So kind of both. I don't really believe in Algier. I don't think he's that good. and he got a downgrade in pretty much every respect. Yeah, Keaton the worst pick. We've definitely beat that horse to death. Pick 177 coming up. Which wide receivers can I get? I might just take Alvin Kamara and do the fifth running back thing with the Shuck stack. And I think he adds some dimension to this team that's kind of nice. It's funny taking Kamara and McCaffrey on the same team in the year 2026. Yeah, Kamara goes. I shouldn't have talked him up so much. Fabian takes him. I could do Stribling. I don't hate it. Samson's okay, not great. Jeremy Bernard. On this team, I could do Stribling. I guess I could have done that with the McCaffrey and like the whole being on the same team. Getting some San Francisco team correlation would have been good. I ended up going Calvin Ridley. Let's just see what people do in between my next picks. On a team where I don't have Carnell Tate, I feel more open to taking Calvin Ridley. At the same time, I think Chimere Dike is kind of interesting. It's just sad that they traded for Wan'Dale Robinson and then drafted Carnell Tate, because I think that makes the case for going DK pretty hard to make. But DK is like very impressive. Wow, Geno Smith goes to a team that probably didn't have him stacked at all. Yeah, I'll just take Stribling here. I thought about doing it the last pick. I'll do it this one. Probably done with those 7 wideouts. 3, 4, 7, 2 build. So the guy that takes Geno Smith, does he have his 0 Jets? He took Golden and Reed and Tucker Kraft. He has a triple stacked Jordan Love. Willis, he reaches for Washington. Gross. Takes Dulcich. Totally fine. Instead of taking Malik Washington, who's terrible, at pick 156, how about take Caleb Douglas or Chris Bell in the last round? I don't even know if I want another running back, but I think I do now that Geno Smith is gone. Because I would have had triple stack Geno Smith. I could have done that with my next pick. I wasn't going to force it at pick 177. I don't need it on this team. I already have my 3 QBs. I could just... Is Mooney still there? I could throw in Mooney for an 8th wide receiver that I probably don't really even need. Cowboys. Jaden Blue's already gone. Turpin's still available. Man, Turpin was a name some people were clicking last year. We were clicking a little bit. Denver's got Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin both available. Maybe it's Marvin Mims is the guy you need. He's on a contract year. Honestly, I think Pat Bryant and Franklin... At first, I was Franklin over Pat Bryant. Then I was ambivalent. Now I think they're just both terrible picks. I think Pat Bryant's got to be a bad pick. Franklin did well for parts of last season. Maybe Mims is the guy you need. Maybe none of them matter. Maybe it's just Waddle and Sutton all the way, and we've been overthinking this, and it never really mattered. Patriots for a bring back. Kayshon Boutte is there. I don't know what to do with him. Technically the wide receiver 3 for the Patriots. Kind of holding out, doing some weird things. For the Saints, there's no pieces left that I'd want. I'm not really into Vele. Falcons, hey, I think Jahan Dotson's draftable. I don't think it's crazy. I heard PPR Tyler talking about potentially drafting Jahan Dotson, and he was getting boos from Davis Maddock on the stream earlier today. I was listening in for a little bit. I didn't catch it all, but no, I think Jahan Dotson's definitely draftable. He could be the Falcons wide receiver 2, 4th target earner on that offense, but how important is that? I don't know. Nick Singleton's okay, interesting wise. I know Herzig was drafting a bunch of him, so that makes me a little bit more curious about it. 2 picks left. I think I take Mooney here and then probably Evan Ingram. I don't really like these running backs. Oh, Justice Hill. This could be the perfect thing to take either Justice Hill or Samaje Perine on. Huge Pat Bryant bull, but pretty scared Ingram will resurface and matter more. I think what killed Pat Bryant was the Waddle signing, the trade, the deal. There's just no way that Pat Bryant's going to eat with Waddle there. There's just no way. And Franklin too. I think I have to let both those guys go. I think my new take is that neither Franklin or Bryant can matter if Waddle is on that team. Waddle's been known to miss time, so you can make the case, but then you're just saying contingent upside. I'm gonna go Ingram here. Thought about going Dotson, Singleton, Perine. Justice Hill actually went to Raul there. Thanks for listening, Raul. Make sure you like the stream. Cool. Throw in Evan Ingram. Maybe Evan Ingram's the one you want at cost. Double week 10 buy. Not too worried about that. Double stacked Broncos. 3 Jets. Skinny stack with the Mooney in the last round to go with Dart. And then nothing else really crazy here. Shuck with Olave is nice. Last round picks, Butte does go. We've seen Tyreek Hill start to get drafted more after his hype video released of him doing all of his recovery and everything. Lloyd continues to go. I've seen Elijah Arroyo get drafted twice now. It's kind of interesting to me. I don't really get the hype there. I'm much more in the camp of going for AJ Barner. But the same guy who takes Arroyo took Mayer. Maybe he just knows something we don't know about these backup tight ends. Ayuk went at pick 180 in the last draft. He goes 213 here. I think that's probably still too early for me. Noel going at 214. Elijah Sarot at 215. And then Charlie Kolar, the slappiest of slappy picks. The Sims love him. Charlie Kolar going in the 18th round to sack. I mean, he's not joking. A 2.5, 7.4 build. He got the big fall on Stafford. Then he went Jawan Johnson, Chig Okonkwo. So he's attacking tight end pretty aggressively here. He gets Algier, goes Barner again ahead of ADP. Sampson, a faller to 192. Bernard at 193, a nice fall there, nice pick. And then he slams in Kolar. Crazy how Big Leg Up has thrown out this curveball pitch that they think Kolar could be the tight end 1 on the Chargers, I guess. Very interesting. Or just that they run so many 2 tight end sets that he can matter. Really interesting. The Kolar Bears, they're calling themselves, even though they're Kolar Bulls. Really interesting stuff. Let's see what Frog Clone ended up doing. He decided to tank his team by taking C-Rod and Cam Ward. No, I'm joking, but Cam Ward unstacked is interesting. I know you have Wandale. Okay, I overlooked the Wandale. I was looking for Carnell Tate. Yeah, that makes sense. Tucker, Spears, fun. Rodgers, just feeling the pressure to get 3 QBs, I guess. And you have the Daniels, though. I would have, I don't know. That's about where Rodgers goes. And then you take Ferguson, pretty hyped on him. Bateman, I agree. Gesicki, I agree. You took a lot of players that I take as well. You know what's kind of throwing me off, though, is I guess we were drafting Rodgers at pick in the 16th and 17th round for so long, even the 18th round a lot. When I see him in the 15th, it shouldn't throw me off as much as it does. It's really not that bad. But unstacked Aaron Rodgers, I think, which is fine. Dowdle. Dowdle catches some passes. He can have some explosive plays, too. I don't hate it. Great draft. Going to bed. Fun stuff. Thanks for being here, Frog Clone. Appreciate you, brother. Fun draft. Kriot says, Waddle and Bryant have zero correlation, in my opinion. Well, how many players can be on the field is the whole thing. So there's definite correlation. If Ingram continues to suck, Denver could be an 11 personnel enough for Bryant to be useful. I think I'd have to go back and look. I don't think I have the data on this sheet. I think it's in my other sheet. for my snaps. It's in my other sheet. But I think Ingram actually did play a lot of snaps. I think with regards to what I'm thinking is it's going to be Cortland Sutton and Waddle on the field the majority of the snaps. In 3 wide receiver sets, you're going to have Mims, Bryant, and Franklin and little Jordan Humphrey all competing for that. So as a fraction of the total plays, which is through 3 wide receiver sets, you have like a bunch of guys rotating in trying to get touches, targets, I mean, in general. I guess they could run a lot of 3 wide, but have to look more into those rates. But I just think it just comes down to I'm typically looking for guys who can be at worst case like the 3rd target in their offense or the 2nd wide receiver in their offense, and I just don't see Pat Bryant getting there. Maybe he overtakes Cortland Sutton, but I think that's kind of a stretch. Crane said today, was it Top Click Tuesday? I didn't get to catch it today. Kolar is kind of like hitting a single and then the defense makes an error and you get to second base kind of pick. That is such a funny analogy. I guess I get it. Getting one single spike week with a touchdown. It's interesting. I have owned Charlie Kolar in Dynasty. I don't currently own him, but I have owned him. So he's on my radar as being, and that's tight end premium though, but he's on my radar as being like usable. Yeah, little Jordan Humphrey and also Marvin Mims in a contract year. Interesting stuff. We're gonna do a final review of this team. I'm gonna close out the poll, so make sure you vote in the YouTube poll. Is it George Pickens? Or is it Devonta Smith at the better pick? I think everyone here agrees. We're pretty aligned here. We're pretty much in agreement. It's George Pickens. Like 80% of y'all think so. I'm going to close that YouTube poll. I'm going to start another YouTube poll. If you're watching, make sure you hit like on the stream. Make sure you're subbed. Help the channel grow. Appreciate y'all for being here. About to get back into another Best Ball Mania draft. I got to go grab a water. Let me review this team. I'm going to roll a clip. I'll grab a water, and then we'll get this thing started. We'll jump right back into another Best Ball Mania, the 3rd one of the night. 3-4-8-3 build. Jackson Dart, Bo Nix, and Tyler Shuck. Kind of a fun QB room. A little bit of a bye week overlap. I think we can ping pong playoff weeks in matter. Knowing that Bo Nix gets the Patriots week 17 sucks, but Shuck gets the Falcons, Dart gets the Cowboys. There's some upside there. I like the value on Dart and Bo Nix. I think Shuck's expensive, but overall, I'd give this a solid B+ or maybe even an A-. Running back room, we went hyper fragile, McCaffrey, Achane, Bucky Irving, and Corum. Dude, this running back room is solid. This is sick. This is the way I like to play it this year, at least what's going on right now on this side of the board. So I have to give this is no doubt in my mind, an A+ running back room. McCaffrey, past ADP. Achane is a smash. I think he's super undervalued. Bucky Irving fell a little bit. He fell enough. And then Corum, I don't know. I'm coming around. Just gives me a Rams pick. I did take him a little bit aggressively. It's at least in the same round. I think it made sense. Wide receivers, I have stacked Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Cortland Sutton stacked. Omar Cooper, my second jet. Calvin Ridley. Deshaun Stribling. 2nd draft in a row. I think we've seen Stribling go pretty late. I grab him here at 184. Darnell Mooney stacked up. Then I go Goddard. For some reason, Goddard's getting slept on. Isn't AJ Brown being gone like good for Goddard? Is the Stowers fear like really taking away from Goddard, who was one of the top, I think the top 3 tight end last year, one of the top tight ends? Kenyon Sadiq, I'm pretty high on. It's my 3rd jet. That could be the fatal flaw of this team. Could just be that I drafted 3 jets. And then actually I double stacked Knicks. My last pick was Ingram. So I like this team. I'd give the wide receiver room. There's some depth here, and there's some firepower up top. I mean, this is a solid B plus, I would argue. And then tight end room is kind of B plus as well. Take it or leave it. Hey, Jeff T, thanks for being here, brother. Thanks for the luck in the drafts. Always good to see you. Hope you're getting ready for a fun week at the Renaissance Club. We got the Scottish Open this week, so I'm looking forward to that too. Been doing some research for my one and dones. I made up some ground. In 2 of 3 of my one and dones last week, I picked Chris. Got her up, got her up, baby. He wins. He comes in late. He swoops in on Sunday. He wins the John Deere. Hell yeah, brother. So that in 2 of my one and dones, I'm now close to being back in the money. I'm like trying to contend with a few weeks left, and that really helped. So Chris Gotterup gets his 4th win in the last 365 days, and his 3rd win on the tour this year. Holy! Speaking of wins, the first time Chris Gotterup won on tour was last year at the Scottish Open. So we're not previewing PGA Tour on stream this week. I don't think I could. It'd be kind of a fun week to do it, but we'll get back into our PGA best ball show birdie hunting next week on Tuesday, I think, to preview the Open Championship. And it's either next week or it's in 2 weeks, actually. I have to pull up the schedule now. My mind's a blank. I don't know. I don't remember. No, they don't get a week off. It is the week after the Scottish Open. It has to be, because some guys just stay over there. I don't think they get a week off, at least. Jeff would remind me, but he went to bed. But I will, whatever it is, it's next week. It's got to be next week. I'm going to preview and do some underdog opens and some drafts and talk about sweats for my remaining 2 PGA best ball teams. I have one in the Pat Mayo Open, and I have one in the Big Scramble. I'm in 15th in the Big Scramble out of 25. If I do well this week at the Scottish Open, which I might, because I have Chris Gotterup, and I have Tom Kim, who's actually a pretty killer golfer at the Renaissance Club. And there's only 2 people in the Big Scramble that have Tom Kim. I'm one of them. The other guy is like in last. So if I had a bunch of Tom Kim leverage this week, it would actually help me out a ton. If I can move up a decent amount, I can break the top 11, top 10 after the Scottish Open. And then going into the Open, I don't think I have any chance to get a top 5 finish. But if I do really strong the next 2 weeks, I think I could finish somewhere between 6 and 12 in the Big Scramble, which would be pretty nice. Ideally, we wanted to win it for 40K, but I think I'm too far behind at this point. So not throwing in the towel, but just being realistic about the remaining weeks. It's only 2 weeks left, and where I'm at, I'm in 15th. So not the best run out. Really got kind of destroyed in some of the early weeks at the Canadian. And then I didn't do well enough at the Travelers either. Did well at the Travelers, didn't do well enough. All right. We reviewed this team. It's pretty solid. I'm going to run a clip, go grab some water. And then when I get back, I'm jumping into another Best Ball Mania. And I'll probably count it down for y'all. Let y'all join if you want to get in on this good stuff. But yeah, let's run the clip. Don't go anywhere. Coming right back. Let's remember why Cam Scattaboo was so good in college. It's the Cam Scattaboo clip. Let's hit it. Electric. The pass catching upside. I mean, the hard hitting truck stick. I'm jumping back into a Best Ball Mania right now. Come get on the action. I'm hitting enter right now, waiting on 2 more. I was going to count it down, but then I forgot. So jump in if you want. You can fill this thing. They're feeling pretty slow tonight. While we're here, have you guys done any Frenchie marathons? I haven't drafted any Frenchie marathons. The 20K to first was just not that appealing to me. So I'm skipping that one. Marathon format seems fine. Probably not my favorite, honestly. I like the fact that there's like a leaderboard, though. That was kind of cool. Big dog and mastiff, no thanks. Not at the current moment, at least. I might split one with someone later. I haven't done any Dalmatians. This to me is interesting. 30K up top. It's not bad. It's not the worst. The advance is still pretty tough. I mean, the 4 out of 12 makes it a lot better, and the final is small, so it's not that bad of an advance. It's a little. The mini golden, no thanks. It's a little tough. German Shepherd Superflex, no thanks. I don't really care about Superflex for best ball as much. All of my dynasty leagues are Superflex. My home league redraft is Superflex. I get enough Superflex, as it is already. We're in this one alone. If you're in this draft with me, let me know what spot you're at. Come say what up in the chat. Thanks for being here on a Tuesday night. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great 4th of July. We'll see how much later I go tonight after this draft. I have a pretty much a long work day tomorrow. I have meetings starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, and I'm on Central Time, so that means 7 a.m. So I have to be up. I'm leading some meetings starting up first thing in the morning, so a little earlier than I usually start personally. Usually at 7 a.m. my local time, I am just moving around. Sometimes I'll get a workout in, but on a normal day recently, I'm making coffee, just moving around, and kind of chilling, getting ready. Oh, shit, that reminds me. I need to go. I have laundry in the washer. I need to go put in the dryer before it sits all night. I should have just done that. Screw it. I probably should go do that now, so that I have like 3 shirts in there. 3 shirts I would want to fold that I don't want to sit crumpled all night in the dryer. I might go after I make these next 2 picks. After pick 28, I might run as fast as I can to no. I'll just screw the shirts. It's whatever. I can rerun the dryer in the morning to freshen it. Not worth it. Putt Daddy did a couple marathons, but I probably just burned my $5 each. Not a big fan. I like the sprint format better. Personally, I think I like the sprint format better. Sprint format just feels like drafting a Best Ball Mania without pod luck. The marathon feels different altogether because in those formats where there's at least advancement, you don't carry forward the season-long points. Obviously, that's like the whole thing, but it's interesting. It's a fun from a game theory perspective. It's still kind of fun to think about the marathon. I'm just not as I don't have that much attention to devote to that part, of the like that tournament, like that kind of thinking. So I'll just kind of stay in my lane. Similar for Superflex. Even though I have 2 Dynasty Superflex leagues and my other Dynasty league is still Superflex managed. My home league, like I said, Superflex. I'm getting a lot of super flex in. I don't need to do it in my best ball. Dang, Achane goes at 19, but I don't get him. I have Puka, Derrick Henry. Pick 21, 28. Don't take Derrick Henry. He's going to do it. He timed out, and he's taking Derrick Henry. I guess I'll take Drake London. I think that's a good move. Seems fine. I've pulled up Jeremiah Love before. I've taken Jeremiah Love in this range with Puka. In a bunch of those little Dalmatian slows I was in, I had some Puka, Jeremiah Love starts. I have not been in a range to get Pickens. I was between going London and Pickens there. I knew there'd be no way Pickens comes back to me at pick 28, but I was like, maybe in this room, no. Rashee Rice would be a smash. This is kind of the range. I do like Trey McBride. I don't take a lot of Breece Hall. I'm not a Breece Hall believer anymore. The touchdown upside's just not there. Everyone's been pulling up Zay Flowers. Maybe this is a team where I do it. Naturally, where I am on this part of the board, given the picks that have already gone off and the lack of round 2 running backs I was able to get to in round 3, this is going to be a completely different type of structural draft than the first 2 I did tonight. The first draft, I could have stopped at 4 running backs. I took Spears in my 5th kind of later on. But it was a really strong, robust RB start from the right side of the board. And then the second draft, again, out of the 9 spot, I do a hyper fragile 4 RB build with 3 of my RBs in, what was that, my first 5 rounds I was able to get to. I got Bucky in the 5th, and it felt pretty good. And then I quickly tacked on Corum in the 8th round. So this time I go 3 wide receivers to start. I take Puka Nacua, Drake London, Rashee Rice. I don't even think this is a very original start. I've seen this start from a bunch of people, a lot of teams, but I really have like a good shot at having, you could argue, 3 of the top 10 wide receivers next year in some kind of outcomes, and maybe even in certain weeks, just the guys you need and big volume like target earners. It's kind of where I'm at with this start. I think it's good. It's somewhat tricky to land. You feel like you want to go running back in the 4th and 5th round when you have guys like Scottaboo who might fall to us. Montgomery's always there, Swift. And then it's just that tier of the Travions, the Tootin, Quinshon Judkins. We'll see how we play this one. Maybe we'll get lucky. I mean, if a wide receiver fell to me in the 4th round that I really liked, I might just keep going. And then I have to figure out like how I'd want to play this with maybe an elite QB if I'm truly going to push running back really far in this one and go more 0 RB. Colston Loveland could be a play. He could be a reason to go 0 RB. The drafter I knew he was going to do that to me. I knew he was going to go Scottaboo. The only pick I wanted that I think I would have taken there and then stuck with a running back. I'm going Waddle. We're just going to piss down this board. 0 RB start. Straight yellow. I thought about going Adams. I thought about going Colston Loveland. Of course he goes. Didn't come back around to 52. So we're going We're going 0 RB, and we're not really even getting the elite tight end out of it. Questionable. I think I'll just kind of follow ADP for my running backs. If Montgomery's there, which he won't be because he goes, oh, wow, Tyson gets pulled up to pick 50. Okay, didn't see that coming. Montgomery's there, I'll go Montgomery. Otherwise, I probably just go Swift. Fuck, Montgomery goes the pick before me. I hate the 4 spot. This is terrible. Not what I want. Swift is actually pretty underrated. He had a good season last year. Good offense. They run the ball a lot. Still, he can be a fine RB1, 5th round. It can get worse. You can push it further. Thinking through, like, I do like that I get the choice of going Mahomes, Stafford, and Knicks kind of in rapid succession. But maybe do I want 2 of those 3? Do I want to aim for one of them? If I take an elite QB, I should have, I mean, like the semi-elite QB, so far only Josh Allen's gone off the board. How is no one taking Lamar Jackson in the 6th round? He's an auto click in the 6th round. Like, you have to do it. He finally goes, I can get May or Jaden Daniels at pick 69. That'd be pretty sweet. I would do that. I kind of would also really consider Jalen Hurts there, but for whatever reason, Jalen Hurts has been falling a little bit. Sometimes you can push him to the 7th round. For me, Jalen Hurts is auto click in the 7th, and I definitely consider taking him in the 6th. It looks like May goes, Jaden Daniels might be there. Might be the thing to do. And then I take some pressure off having to land Stafford. Daniels goes. I'm not going to take Burrow. I'm going to go Tony Pollard. I hope that was the right pick. A little bit ahead of ADP. Just a bit. Gives me an RB2. If I can get... I guess I can't get Hurts to come back around. Hurts Lemon at the 6-7 is become a staple for a lot of draft boards. Pretty common there. I'll zoom in just a bit more. I'm not going to do Caleb on this team. If I took Colson Loveland, I would consider it more. Feels like a Ramondre team for me. So for starting 0 RB, my prize is not an elite QB. It's not an elite tight end. My prize is just bad running backs. And not necessarily bad, but like not top tier running backs. So I already don't like this team. Through the first 7 picks, I go DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, and Ramondre at running back. We're not like dead, but that's just not the most convincing running back room to start off with. Wide receivers, of course, studs: Puka, London, Rice, Waddle. The bye week 11 on Nakua in London is a little bit annoying. It's not the end of the world. I just don't know if it's like a 6 wide receiver build. It could be. We'll see what kind of depth I can get at running back. I'm going to treat this as an opportunity to take running backs I don't normally take. Kind of the only opportunity I have to maybe get different. The wide receivers are very strong. The running backs need to be healthy. Swift gets some touches. He splits with Monangai a little bit, but there's a lot to go around. Pollard gets a lot of touches. He splits a little bit with Spears, maybe Singleton, but he's kind of the leader. Stevenson obviously splits with Ramondre or with Henderson, but it's a good team. There's a lot to go around and a lot of touchdowns. Harvey would have been super nice at 93. I like Dobbins. I would take Dobbins at 93. I probably don't take Monangai. I could. Corum going at pick 85 in this draft also makes me feel pretty good about where I took him in the last one. The fact that I think he's a riser for whatever reason going forward. So I could do Mahomes, easy click, but maybe I just grab Dobbins. Maybe I don't force Dobbins. I think getting the stacked Mahomes could be worth more than having Dobbins particularly. And I think there's a chance Dobbins comes back around, considering the drafters next to me this guy only has one running back. He's kind of doing his own thing. Let's just take the gift of getting Rashee Rice with Patrick Mahomes at pick 93. I think that's a gift. I think we do that. He's going to take Dobbins at 96. Not much I can do about it. Tight end wise, Harold Fannin or Kyle Pitts would be totally fine at pick 100. I could also do Stafford or Bo Nix at pick 100. I mean, people have been really pushing Stafford. It's been pretty amazing. Okay, this guy didn't take his RB2 through 9 rounds. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe he's just anchoring to Gibbs and he thinks that's viable. This guy took Fannin. Wow, we're going to get Dobbins. I think I want Dobbins at pick 100. And I'm going to push QB, which sounds crazy, but now that I have Mahomes, I'm cool with it. The wide receivers are so strong, though. Do I just double down on the wide receivers with the stacks? If I take Dobbins, I get the team correlation with the Broncos, and I have another running back who can get some decent touches before the cliff. Or do I just take Stafford or Nix? I hope it's not the bad choice. I let it time out on Dobbins because I'm somewhat afraid of the running backs to come back around. I probably should have taken Stafford or Nix to double down on my Nacua and Waddle picks. Probably should have taken Stafford or Nix. I've seen Stafford coming back around in the 10th round. The Devontae Adams drafter also is over here on the left side. So I have that advantage. Sometimes you can push him in that case. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that we're seeing Stafford come back around. It happened twice tonight. And then very few times, but sometimes Nix comes back around too. So I'm kind of just going to risk it to try to get a super team because I like Dobbins slightly more than the other running backs who are there generally at pick 117. At 117, usually Aaron Jones is gone, and then you're picking between JCM, Mason, C-Rod, and that's not the most inspiring running backs that I want. They could be fine, though. Maybe this was the team to try to do that and take some guys I don't normally get, like Jordan Mason, maybe. I'm going to get heartbroken. I can see it now. Stafford and Knicks are going to go. There's just so many teams. Wow, this guy goes golf. So that's actually going to do me a huge favor. This drafter could take him. Yeah, he just took Mayfield. Wow. Okay, we're getting lucky. And then no, fuck me. Stafford goes to the fucking team who has Jefferson, the idiot. Should have taken Kyler Murray, you fucking idiot. That's okay. Stafford dream's dead. Can Bo Nix come around? No. Because the drafter at 115 will take Bo Nix. He doesn't have any reason to do it. He just will because Bo Nix is past ADP and he has 0 quarterbacks. At the same time, this guy could take Bo Nix right now because he's like, oh, I need 2 QBs. we'll see. He could just time out. I mean, Bo Nix is at the top of queue if you time out as well. He times out. No luck. Good thing quarterbacks don't matter, but actually they do. Quarterback's like one of the most important positions. You can't win week 17 without the right quarterback. So now we're putting all of our eggs in one basket on Mahomes. Means we also go Kelsey right here. Bang. Aaron Jones was available. I could have arbitraged him with Dobbins. We failed. This team's dead. Probably just should have taken Stafford and then come back with Aaron Jones here. This could be a Penix team with London super late and then TBD on the rest of my wide receivers and how it would make sense. Dobbs as a wide receiver 5. I could do Mason as a running back 5. Shuck and Willis are there. Dobbs goes. So it's Mason, Shuck or Willis or Mark Andrews. Go Mason. Keep hammering running backs. Commit. We'll get some quarterback values later. Maybe some back stacks we can do. Through 11 rounds. 1-5-4-1. I got Mahomes, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, J.K. Dobbins, and Jordan Mason. Wide receivers, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle, and then I have Travis Kelce for the Mahomes double stack. Mahomes is the guy you need. Wow, this guy has 4 QBs. He also took Shuck. And this guy, there's a team with 0 QBs, and there's a team with 4 QBs. This room is wild right now. The guy who took Gibbs waited until C-Rod and Bill to get his RB2 and 3. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's just the thought that Stafford's a better quarterback, which is right. But in the context of this draft, you would want Kyler, I think. So that's what confuses me. How do you get to Stafford over Kyler if you take in Justin Jefferson? Stafford's better for sure and projects for way more points. But Kyler was never going to come back around at pick 130. He got a nice fall in Lamar, though. So his team looks actually pretty strong. And then doubles. He gets the back stack with Andrews. I don't hate this. I hate that it messed up my team, but I don't hate his team. I'm going to be on the clock soon. Pick 141, then 148, 12th and 13th round. Dallas Goedert being there would be cool. Travis Hunter would be interesting on a team like this. Travis Hunter is the best pick available. If I take Cam Ward, it's pretty easy to backstack, and I'm not a big believer. Same thing with let's go Travis Hunter. This is the kind of the fun team where I'd go Travis Hunter. The wide receivers are so strong. It's like, who's going to be able to have a spike bigger than my 4 wide receivers right now? And then also I have so many running backs already. You'd expect them to still hit the flex a decent amount of the time, like not all the time, but probably 50-50 with the wide receivers, even though the wide receivers are so good. But then Hunter comes in. I don't need anything out of him. Just spike weeks only, please. Perfect setup. No floor, all ceiling. If Cam Ward's there at 148, yes. I honestly like Daniel Jones better. And I don't have any Titans so far. Oh, I have Pollard. I guess Pollard is a reason. Pollard is a reason for me to lean into Cam Ward a little bit over Daniel Jones, who I do draft over Cam Ward straight up most times. Daniel Jones, harder to backstack. Cam Ward, easier to backstack. Kind of part of the tiebreaker there for me. We'll just see what comes around. I should be able to get one of Cam Ward. I will. I'll get either Cam Ward or Daniel Jones here. Yeah, I think I'm slight lean to Cam Ward because it's a little ADP fall. It's not that big of a difference. I already had Tony Pollard, and I can get Calvin Ridley, Gunnar Helm, even Chimere Dike, like I said, I think is a viable last round pick. It sounds crazy. One stat I was going to bring up earlier that I forgot to say when I was talking about the Titans receivers, Chimere Dike set a record for rookies all time in scrimmage yards last season. He had, it was 2 punt returns. I don't think he had any kick returns to the house, but he had like over 2,100 total scrimmage yards. He was like one of the league leaders in scrimmage yards. So that just screams talent. It screams get the guy, the ball. The coaches have some faith and trust in him and are excited about him, but not that much faith and trust considering they went out and replaced him with Wan'Dale Robinson and also drafted Carnell Tate. So it's pretty damning. I think it's much more damning for Alec Eomanor, who I was never really that high on. But they got Cam Ward some more weapons. We'll see. I think there's a case, though, for Chimere Dike being draftable. If you're drafting Ryan Flournoy in 100% of drafts, Chimere Dike getting 0% drafted, to me, is much better pick at cost, which there's no cost on DK. Almost back on the clock here, pick 165. Daniel Jones is gone. I take a lot of Sadiq. I would do him. Hawkinson just went. Sadiq just went. I could do Debo here. Oof. I thought about going Dalton Schultz, but it was 1 second too late. I went ahead and took Debo. I don't know where he plays. Does he have any connection to the Raiders? I don't know where Debo plays in 2026. I really don't. Probably should have gone Schultz there. Helm would be a pick at 172. Kind of reach for him a little bit. I don't think he comes back around all the time. Probably not in this room. I like Brian Robinson here just fine. Kamara too. We'll see if they come back around. I'm going to go ahead and take Gunnar Helm. A little bit ahead of ADP, but it helps with the stack. And then maybe I can get Calvin Ridley at 189. Don't even know if I need Ridley, though. Kamara, Brian Robinson, and then maybe some more upside running backs. Could always throw in a guy like Jaden Blue, Ray Davis. Super low floor. Potential high ceiling, if whatever reason. They have a larger role than we're expecting. I was so in on Zachariah Branch because I like his talent, but it's a lot to ask for from a rookie wide receiver. And I think Dotson and Zacchaeus probably play more snaps than him. So I've backed off the branch click. Just a reality check. Blue goes 181. So that's not going to happen. I could have taken Trey Harris. I think looking back, Trey Harris would have been an interesting pick in this range too. If I didn't take Debo, if I instead took Schultz, I could have gone Trey Harris at 172. Debo's going home to Carolina. I would like that. I think that makes a ton of sense, Bobby. That would make sense to me. Not too crowded either. He could, function in that offense. I think that makes a ton of sense. Going back home to Carolina. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that too much, but it totally would make sense. Sleeper bet that no one considers. For the same reason, I think Diggs goes to Washington. He played college at Maryland. So Diggs going back to the DC area, or I guess just yeah. I'm not really trying to backstack, or I don't have any other stacks. I could do Penix late. I don't really care about these other QBs. Fucking A. Ridley goes right for my pick. Maybe saved me there. Maybe I didn't really need him. I will go the upside with Terrence Ferguson there. Maybe that saved me. Maybe I didn't want Ridley on this team. I don't really care about the whole Ward thing. Getting the Helm stack is totally fine. But the big bets on the Kelsey, the Mahomes, the Rashi, Rice. Can I do anything with London? Do I take Penix in the last round? I think I will. I've invested in the Rams without Stafford. I've invested in the Broncos without Nix. I'd probably go running back here and then look for that Penix or a luxury pick in the last round. Gino's here. It's a little bit past ADP, but I don't think this is the right team for him. I look running back here and they all freaking went. So I might just go Braylon Allen, or do I throw in the Justice Hill and I just give up? Fancier zero than Emmett Johnson? Probably not. The last second though, let me get some team correlated bet. Emmett Johnson probably doesn't get me there. Probably doesn't do much, but it's always fun to take the Chiefs rookie running back, or just the Chiefs newest running back edition who always becomes a zero. It's a tradition year after year. We have to do it. It's an honor tradition in the best ball pro community. If you need a 6 running back, why not make it a 0 and just really, take someone who doesn't matter. Emmett Johnson. Could he be anything? He saved me so I can take DK. Also true. The sad thing is I need someone to save me and take Penix. Otherwise, I might go Penix here. Even Tua is available. Yeah, is that true? Is Washington have good tax laws? Tua goes, Sanders goes. I can still take Penix. 2 teams have 4 quarterbacks. What is going on in this draft? Does someone have 1 quarterback? What is the deal? No. So Penix is there. I could also do a 4 QB build. I could take Ingram. I could take Gesicki. Do I go Charlie Kolar? Bateman's available. I don't really want any Dolphins, I guess. Look at those rookies. Chimere DK is there, obviously. Do I take DK? The low-owned rookie sensation. Really, really hard to see his path to playing time, though. I guess it's just Ridley being dust. But Ridley was good before the injury. He is getting older. Is Ridley 30 or 32? I think he's 30. He's 32. Tell me why not to go Penix. Why should I not take Penix? Gesicki goes. I could still do Ingram or Kolar. I guess I'm going to go Penix. I'd have him with London. That I have to do it. If I didn't have London, I wouldn't be considering it. But and the playoff schedule is just so nice for Atlanta. Washington, the 30th ranked defense. Tampa Bay is kind of tough, 13th ranked defense, but more middle of the road and still a divisional game and still in a dome. And then New Orleans at home in the dome. So 3 really good matchups. One of the best playoff schedules for Atlanta. If I can lean into that. With the Penix stack to London, that is going to be lower owned for some reason because Penix is just lower owned. Emmett Johnson pick here is ridiculous. I can't believe I did it, but I capitulated a little bit to big best ball. 3663. I think we saved this team. Emmett Johnson didn't help, but I think we saved the running back room with the Mason pick as RB5. We got there. Let's see where we're at. This team ended up obviously pretty balanced. Mahomes double stacked. No bringbacks in week 17. But as far as the KC playoffs go, I don't think I have Ramondre, so it's week 15. I don't have any San Francisco pieces. I don't have any Chargers. I also took Cam Ward. So for Tennessee, their playoff schedule, not that great. They get Indy. I didn't take any Colts. I didn't take any Raiders. I didn't take any Steelers. So no bringbacks there, but I have Cam Ward skinny stacked with Helm. And then the last pick I took Penix. And I don't have any bringbacks there either, I don't think. But I at least have the stack Penix to London. So QB room, I'd give this like a B. Just a B. Stacks are pretty decent. Running back room is Swift, Pollard, Ramondre, and Dobbins. And I threw in Jordan Mason, kind of cap it off, get 5 guys who are something. Emmett Johnson, fancy 0. To me, this running back room is like a B-, but I think it still like works for this build where my wide receivers are insanely good. I have Puka. I also took Terrence Ferguson later on, so just a team bet on the Rams. Drake London stacked with Penix, Rashee Rice with Mahomes, Jalen Waddle. And I also had that Dobbins pick, so a team bet on the Broncos. Travis Hunter, Deebo Samuel. No rookie wide receiver. Maybe they use Emmett Johnson kind of like a wide receiver, so maybe that's my little caveat there. Kelsey stacked up, Gunnar Helm stacked up, Terrence Ferguson. It's pretty fun pick. Get him at kind of right at ADP. Some more Rams. Yeah, I think this team is fun. It's more like a team I would have built last year versus the team I'd build this year. I think it. Oh, yeah. I have a mini week 17 with Ramondre and Broncos. That's true. Not a game that most people are targeting, though, considering the AFC Championship was a 10-7 win by the Patriots. But I do appreciate I have some correlation week 17. I would say I could have taken Freiermuth over Ferguson. That might have been a way to get some more, a bring back, but I'm not aiming for that Cam Ward stack. I think I'm going for, you just need Puka and you need London and Penix or Rashee and Mahomes with some other pieces. And these are just kind of the running backs you need for whatever reason. This does kind of fit though the flow of like what kind of team could win Best Ball Mania. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it will, but thinking back to Fareed's team that we've referenced many times, you get the strong wide receiver start. You take some running backs, and the QB value is, I think, pretty in line with like what traditionally lines up on a lot of the finalist teams. Mid early round QB at the most, like a round 8 pick after you already have all of your flex filled with some skill position guys. And then you push tight end or you push QB again and you go much later, round 13 and around 18. That's kind of a formula that works. And maybe we're pattern matching, but spending less on QB can make your team a lot stronger in these flex position guys. And so I think I did cover my bases there. My first 7 picks, and then getting Dobbins, the Kelsey stack, getting Mason and Hunter, I think adds a lot of value instead of taking some of these other QBs, and then still getting Cam Ward. Samuel could be a little riser. The tight ends are totally fine. 2-year 2 guys, and then the veteran Kelsey. And Bid Johnson. Yeah, it's whatever. I've said enough about that. I don't hate this team. I think it's fine. It's a really weird room. Strange things going. Tyson at 50. Teams pushing QB, teams taking 4 QBs. Kind of strange. This guy has 4 QBs, and it's Love, Shuck, Caleb, and Jaden Daniels. It's just so much draft capital at QB. And to start JSN and get all these running backs, which is a fun way to do it. But then wide receiver 2 and 3 is Reed and Downs. I really don't like that at all. And then even worse, wide receiver 4 and 5 is Trey Harrison Ridley. I hate that. And then Ted Hurst. This team has just no floor at wide receiver except for JSN. I guess you're filling the flex with these 4 running backs every week. So you just have to really thread a narrow needle to get all the spike weeks to line up from these guys. Kind of a crazy team. Not even the worst tight ends either. Just too much draft capital at QB. The Love Reed thing is okay. I would have taken Daniels or Caleb, but not both. And especially like this team, it doesn't really even make sense. Neither of them are stacked. Interesting. And then what is Mike Washington going to add to a team that has these 4 running backs? Not much. Definitely should have gone another receiver there. Interesting. When Pollard, Ramondre, and Swift are projecting for more than Jeremiah 11 week 7, your team is feeling good. Could be. Yeah, could be. I think Jeremiah Love gets more touches per game than those guys. You're right about the projection, though. It comes down to touchdowns. We'll see what the Cardinals are doing offensively. I've got, and this is last year, but it informs a lot of what I did for this year's projections. I think we talked about Swift. He was getting about 16.4 touches per game. Second half of the year, he was closer to 16. I kind of have him for about 16 touches per game. We talked about Ramondre. Why am I like blind to Ramondre? I can't see him all of a sudden. Let me look at the full year. There he is. He was only averaging about 12 touches per game. He missed some time. I think I have Ramondre optimistically, and I have to go look at his playoff games again because I know they used him more in the playoffs. I think I've got him optimistically projected for like 14 touches a game, What was the game log like in the playoffs for him? Also, year 2 Travion is something to be concerned about. Playoff games, he got 13, 20, 25, and 12. Last game of the regular season, or I guess it's week 17, he had 13. He had 9 in week 18. I have Ramondre about 14, and then Pollard was the other one. Pollard, I should be looking for. How come I'm blind to Pollard? What am I looking for here? Tony Pollard. There he is. 16.1 second half of for the whole season. The second half of the season, though, it was a little bit better, I think. 16.4. I have him, 16, maybe 17 touches a game. So there's some decent volume there. I just don't have like the major upside of any guy that can get 20 touches a game or 18 or 20 plus. At least for my wide receivers, though, I have a few guys that are going to be 8 or 9 receptions a game. I had Puka, who I think could easily come in at 8 or 9 a game. Drake London, who is maybe at 6. Rashee Rice at 7 or more. And then Waddle was so low, or not Waddle. Waddle was so low at 4.1 last year, but that's got to come up. I think he can consolidate a little bit. We saw Troy Franklin getting 4.4, Sutton getting 4.6. Pat Bryant is down here getting nothing. Mims was getting the 3.1. Pat Bryant was getting, I must have skipped. There he is. 1.9 receptions per game. So I think Waddle consolidates some of those. Probably ends up closer to 6 receptions per game. Gonna put him way up in here. If he can get to 6, probably closer to 5, 5.5, but 6 would be pretty nice. More games out of Drake London. I think that could come up as well. Better quarterback play. Not a bad team. I'm going to go to the YouTube poll. I'm going to close it. Let's see what you guys voted. Pickens or Devonta Smith. It really didn't change. I said I was going to close it earlier. We were at 80% Pickens. It gets 77% Pickens. I'm going to add one more YouTube poll. We'll see if we get some responses on this one. This one's going to be, let's go back into these kind of important rounds. Zay Flowers or Devonta Smith. Better pick in fantasy. Zay Flowers or Devonta Smith. I'm making a YouTube poll. You can tell me in the chat why as well. Let me jump over here. I've got some slow draft picks to make. I'm on the clock in a few of these little Dalmatians. I'm going to rip through some of these. Some of these are pretty far along, but a lot of them also were kind of some earlier round picks. Yeah, it should be 100% Pickens. People got to listen. What's up, Truly Cody? How we doing, brother? I went on our rant before the start of the last Best Ball Mania draft, where there's a big Pickens tirade, and there's an article from Madison Parkhill, his Reducing Uncertainty Substack, and it was going in depth about why Pickens is actually a really, really good pick for fantasy in 2026 and great in best ball and a great team environment and all the things that I should have known, but it's rubbing off on me a little bit where I want to be drafting more Pickens. And it feels like people are kind of out on Pickens. Like he just doesn't get talked up a whole lot. In this draft, he went at pick 24. Smith went at 25. The same drafter, but they're that close in these draft boards a lot of times. I think Pickens is like so far ahead, better pick than Devonta Smith. And it really comes down to team environment. It's not so much the skill, it's just the opportunity. But also they're both very skilled, but the opportunity is just so different. Mike Clay has Waddle at 4.5. Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit more bullish on that he can consolidate some of those targets in that offense then. That's a pretty reasonable projection. I mean, that's like starter level receptions, but nothing extreme. This little Dalmatian draft, 2530. I got Lamar at 64. Nice. Dak to go with CeeDee Lamb, of course. Achane in the second round. Kyron in the third. Javonte in the fourth for some Cowboy stuff going on. I got Bucky in the fifth. I kind of regret taking Dowdle there. I really shouldn't have taken Dowdle because now I have Pittman and Golden as my two receivers, which I don't hate. It's just a little thin. I wish I would have gone receiver instead of Dowdle. I don't know why I did it in the moment, but pick 129. I think I just go Mark Andrews here to give myself a stack with Lamar. It seems pretty obvious. I don't have a tight end yet. There's not much else I would do here from like flex position. The wide receivers are pretty flat. Coker, Shaheed, Hunter, Cooper, Jalen McMillan. I can make up wide receiver 4 later on, even if I didn't take any of those guys. So definitely going to go Mark Andrews. If there's a chance, 2 of these teams don't have tight end. I don't think Ferguson comes back around to 136. Jake Ferguson. I think I want Andrews with Lamar. I'll stick to CD and Javonte as I play through Dak Prescott. So that's what I do here. Bang. And then most likely at pick 136, I'll have the choice between probably Shaheed, Hunter, or Cooper, all of which I'm pretty cool with. Maybe Dallas Goedert if I get desperate. Think about it. Another little Dalmatian slow draft pick to make to end the night. Yeah, I 100% agree with this. And I think a lot of people are discounting Pickens' 2025 production because of what we saw with Lamb last year, how he was injured, and when he played, he wasn't fully healthy. One thing that I read about that I said earlier on stream, Pickens had 5 games last season with 100 yards or more and a touchdown. The next highest was Puka with, I think it was 3. I think JSN was at 3. I think it was Jamar Chase at 3. If I get the list correct. And actually, Pickens had 5 games of 130 or more yards and a touchdown on top. And like 2 of those games were 2 touchdown games. So Pickens was just like on another level for consistently producing spike weeks. And it's getting a little bit undersold because of the Lamb was injured narrative, I think. So like in this draft, Devonta Smith went ahead of Pickens. We're seeing it happen. I have a 1-4-3-0. I'm drafting out of I have 2 picks here. I'm in the corner. Trevor Lawrence, Hampton, Williams, Irving, and Dowdle at running back. Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas. So I definitely want Kyler Murray on this team for my Justin Jefferson stack. Do I go Fannin? Do I go Pitts? Could be nice selections here. I don't really have like any real reason to go with Bo Nix other than I like him. I think he's better than Kyler Murray, but at least on this team, I want that Justin Jefferson stack, I think. I've got Brian Thomas with Trevor Lawrence. Ooh, I should just take Matthew Golden. It feels weird not taking Bo Nix there. but I think I need to do it with Justin Jefferson and Kyler Murray. I think Bo Nix scores so many more fantasy points than Kyler Murray next season, but at the same time, looking for weekly ceiling, I've got Trevor Lawrence footing it down. He's more expensive anyways. What other reason? I'm going to do Murray. Do I go tight end or do I take Golden? Golden would be a nice wide receiver for. At pick 132 and 33, there's other wide receiver fours there that I can get. It doesn't have to be Golden. It could be Shakir, Coker, Diggs pretty easily, right? So this is a tight end spot. I need to get a tight end that's a difference maker. I like all of these guys. I don't have enough Fannin. I don't have enough Pitts either. I just like the Falcons a little bit better, and I really like the Falcons' playoff schedule. Saints, Tampa Bay, Washington. The Cleveland one's not terrible. Giants, Baltimore, Indy. I don't know if I have any week 17 or playoff week correlation to make it to really make a it doesn't really make a difference here for me. I'm tempted to go Pitts. Fannin was damn impressive as a rookie. I think the Falcons just score more touchdowns. Am I buying high on Pitts and underestimating Fannin? Truly, Cody thinks Fannin. I'm pretty on the fence about it. I don't have enough of either one of them. I'm open to it. We know that London and Bijan are the engine of the offense, the top target earners. It's most likely going to be London, then Pitts, then Bijan. The Browns, it could consolidate a little bit around Fannin, especially in year 2. They move in Njoku. There's some good signals there. Yeah, they're both super close. They're both super close in that. I mean, Kittle's technically higher in the Mike Clay projection, and I think Kittle, his weekly ceiling is still insanely high when he's healthy. And the team's the best team. The 49ers the best team. If I only had one team to draft, I would be taking Kittle over these two guys. But given that I'm doing some volume, I'm going to go Harold Fannin here, I think. I'm cool with it. No hint of serious injury. Yeah. Banged up already. Let's go Fannin. It's fun. Year 2 tight end upside. I don't know. We've seen some disappointing year 2s out of the tight ends lately for the guys who broke out and have done well. Whatever. We'll buck the trend. I think back to like Laporta and Bowers. Down years in year 2. Was that Laporta year 2 or Laporta year 3? Year 2 was a little down. It was still fine. It was year 3, obviously. I was just thinking of Bowers only has the 2 years and was injured, but still baller. Gronkowski Jr. All right, this team, 11th round, Little Dalmatian. Back over here on the side of the board. I did just take Kyler with Justin Jefferson. Where do I get my ideas from? And it has Fannin on it. And it has Dowdle on it. I'm just recreating the wheel. And Kyron Williams. So couldn't be more similar. Maybe I should have referenced this team before I made those picks. Would have gone Kyle Pitts just to get different. Maybe. The Dowdle pick, I need to stop clicking Dowdle. I can't stand. I keep seeing him on all these teams. I should do Jordan Mason here, but I have Josh Allen, and so I want Kincaid. I should also take Diggs here. I like Omar Cooper, Travis Hunter. Maybe Kincaid comes back around. Actually, both teams that are at the turn in between my next pick don't have tight end. So I'm just going to assume all these guys are gone. Jordan Mason's probably the guy I need. Damn. I should take some Jordan Mason. He doesn't project super well. But there's a team stack with the whole Kyler thing and Justin Jefferson. I feel like I need a running back 3-4 pretty badly, and it gets super ugly after this. But I mean, I really prefer these wide receivers and this tight end here. I'm having a tough time. I'm gonna have to go with Dalton Kincaid and hope one of these guys doesn't take Jordan Mason because they both have 4 RBs. If one takes Mason, there's 3 other picks to go around. I mean, technically they could take all of these guys. I think they're gonna eat up the tight ends, Mark Andrews and Ferguson and Goddard. I should be safe to get hopefully Diggs, but I should be safe to get Hunter. Mm. Yeah, that big game in week I think it's 15 accounted for so much. It was a huge game. I was at the Texans game during that week 15, those playoff games, those noon games. I had a noon kickoff at the Texans game. It was super fun. But I was seeing the live updates on my phone of what was coming through for Pitts that week. I mean, he's still good. Super explosive as a tight end. Like, had a great season. Can't discount that. But you're right. I mean, a lot of it did come from the big game. But let's just look at these. This is PPR. I'm talking half PPR and underdog, but had a great start to the season. Kind of petered out a little bit in the middle. But yeah, 46 points PPR in week 15 against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay defense can be just taken advantage of. But then duds in week 17. He gets you there. He does a nice 19-point game in week 16. 3 touchdowns, the 1 touchdown. Yeah, it was 3 out of his 5 touchdowns came in one game. 166 of his yards. Pretty crazy. But at the same time, he still has that ability. Kyle Pitts can still do that. So those spikes are worth something. Let's hope I get Jordan Mason on this one. And then let's go make some more picks. Let's go. Let's see. A few that are 2 away, but I have 2 where I'm on the clock. This one's pick 124. I think I'm going to like this team. Anytime I see Jackson Dart, I'm feeling good. He's one of my favorite picks this year in fantasy. Just the Konami code. The dude has the rushing upside, the rushing floor. I think he's being drafted too late. Also have Stafford on this one. What did I start off with? I have Puka, Bowers, Edchen, Burden, Irving Harrison, Hubbard. I don't take a lot of Chuba Hubbard, so I was mixing him in consciously in this one. I grabbed Aaron Jones there. So what do I have? What do I need? I've got 4 good running backs. I feel decent about at least. Not the strongest, highest top end running backs, but some like middle guys. They're okay. Pretty strong at QB to where we're at in this draft. The wide receivers, not deep yet, but I can argue very strong. I mean, Puka, anytime you have Puka, you're good. I think the year 3 breakout from Marvin Harrison, we're just like right around the corner. It looks a little weak at running back and receiver because I have Brock Bowers on this one. So let's not forget it. Do I take Kittle here? I'm pretty tempted to do that. I don't get to pick again until 141. But what's the difference between a wide receiver I get at 124 and 141? To me, it's like nothing. I might miss out on Diggs. He could still be there. I think this is super flat at wide receiver. It sucks I don't have a wide receiver 4 yet, but I'm not going to just take the next available guy because I need wide receiver. I don't think these guys – I can make the case for Coker, Diggs, and Shaheed and Hunter, but maybe they're there at my next pick. And the fall on Kittle here is pretty nice. 10 picks past ADP. Can't do much with Shuck. Yeah, I like Kittle. Same thing, Cody. Like, I'm just taking Kittle here all day, twice on Sunday. Give me the guy that can be who you need. Bowers, Kittle, let's fucking go. Might be done with the 2 tight end build. Can always sneak in maybe Terrence Ferguson later with Stafford. People are kind of catching on to him too, though. So this is kind of a crazier build. Not having 4 wide receivers through 11 rounds. I'm going to queue up some wide receivers that I'd prefer in the order that I'd want them. And we'll just see if any of these guys are there with the next pick. RB5, I don't care about any of these guys at all. So definitely going wide receiver next. Can chill for a bit. Is there a QB? Not really. Could do Mendoza late. Mendoza, if I can get him super cheap, might make sense on this team. Might not even need him. Okay, last slow draft pick, unless magically another one jumps on the board. Did 3 Best Ball Mania drafts to start the stream, and now we're going through some of my slow draft picks. These are the little Dalmatians that Underdog came out with. It feels like it was about a week ago, maybe a little bit more than that. Another Puka team. Puka, Love, Olave. Look, I remember getting Love because I wanted to get some mixed in. I would have been so much happier if I had Achane there. McLaurin, I got him with Daniels, so the dream came true. Bucky Irving for some touches. Warren, Corum before it was cool. This is literally like a pick last week, though. So Godwin, Fowler, felt good. Team stack with Irving. I remember making that Godwin pick. He was ADP 88 when I made the pick. I got him at pick 100. And I said, you know what? I've got Puka, but I got Jaden Daniels. I don't have to have Stafford here. Maybe I'm going to play it through the Bucks and I'll take Baker at pick 117. Lo and behold, I push Stafford around. He goes at 117. So I get this Corum, Stafford, and Puka stacked up with the bring back in Godwin in week 17 and Bucky Irving. So it's pretty sweet. And I already have that McLaurin stacked with Jaden Daniels. So this team is cooking. I'm feeling really good about it. It's balanced. I don't have a tight end yet. Need to make up some ground there. Maybe just play it late 3 or 4 tight ends. Baker Mayfield's still available. I guess I take him. I don't know if I need him or I want him on this one. Actually, now that I see Kittle's available, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to take Kittle here. No wide receivers I like, as I mentioned, in the last draft. It's going to be Kittle. Aaron Jones being there is tempting. But I've got 4 guys that I like. I'm pretty solid with. The Baker is tempting. I'd have a Bucky and Godwin stacked with Baker. It's pretty tempting to do it. I'm going to play it through Jaden Daniels and Stafford. I'm going to go for a later QB. I'm going to go for Kittle here. Could have done Kelsey. I think Kittle makes just as much sense past ADP. These drafters are really sleeping on Kittle. I mean, that was the second draft in a row. Super late. Boom. And we're through all the slow drafts. We did it. We made it through. Thanks for tuning in, for hanging out here tonight. Hope you guys have a great Wednesday. I'll probably be live again tomorrow night. We'll see what the schedule holds. We'll do some more Best Ball Mania drafts. Unless Underdog drops anything else like new in the lobby. But yeah. Thanks for drafting with me. As always, I'll catch y'all in another draft real soon. Peace out.